Hello, hello, hello. It's the Quiet Broad Abroad, also known as Viv. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see that Solo Traveler is here. I'm in StreamYard, so I get to put people's comments up, which I really like to be able to do. And guys, I apologize. I know it's pretty early, even on the East Coast, but it's already 3 o'clock for me. So I had to kind of go with my energy. Okay. So I know most of you are going to watch on the replay, and I'm really grateful for those of you who are here live. So I really appreciate that. Yes, yes, yes. So listen, this is what we're going to talk about. I made notes, which I rarely do. Okay. But this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about something that has been on my mind for, I'd say, the last year or more, and it has to do with my channel, and it also has to, you're gonna want to stay for this, okay? Um, and what brought it up today for me is, and I got my notes here, I was watching a video by the channel DW News. Let me know if any of you watch it. I like them because I feel like they give just really good news reports. And this is what it's called: Foreign Nationals Caught in Deadly Spain Wildfire. Okay. So foreign nationals caught in deadly Spain wildfire. So I'm filming this on Sunday, July 12th. So as of now, about 12 people are known dead, and I think 27 are missing, but many of them are foreigners, okay? Visiting Spain, and that's how come it touches on my channel, and I want to talk to you about this. So, yeah, please put in your comments. Hey, if you're just joining, welcome. It's the Quiet Broad Abroad, and we're gonna start talking about basically the impact that I think a lot of, I'm going to say influencers, YouTubers, I consider myself more of an educator via YouTube, are not talking about. So I want to kind of give you the preface first, okay? And let's see who else is here. Say hi if you're just joining. And I apologize because I know it's early. Okay. So I just watched this video. It was really disturbing, you guys. Wildfires in Spain. And interestingly, while I was watching it and, just having so much empathy for all the people and the families that are worried, it began to rain where I am in Albania. And the rain was, let me know if you know what I mean. It was one of those like just really cooling, almost like tropical rain. Like it came on very strong, cooled everything down, very refreshing. Let me know if you experience that kind of rain. And it was like felt like such a blessing. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about is, like I said, I don't see a lot of folks talking about it, but I want to be on the forward front of this, thinking about climate change, global warming. I see why we don't call it global warming anymore, because there's also places cooling and just having weird temperatures and weird events. So we're just going to talk about that a little bit as it has to do with your possibly moving abroad. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. Um, I just want to share my thoughts on it because, like I said, I don't see many people in the travel space, and I consider myself more in the move abroad immigrant space, also slow travel. And I'll say more about that, but I don't really see anybody touching it. Okay, let me know if you do. I'd like to know. I really want to hear your comments about this. So that's what we're going to talk about. Um, Solo traveler, have you thought about this at all, about climate change? And guys, I apologize. I'm going to take a brief pause here. So, the Quiet Broad Abroad, some of you may not know, I'm super like into holistic health, and I am a yoga teacher and meditation teacher. And so I made these, you don't have to be to make these, but these are like little date balls. It's a very yoga teacher thing. So it's got cashews, not sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and dates rolled into a ball. It's really good. It would be even better if I had kind of mushed it up a little more, but I just kind of made it by hand. So I feel like I have stuff in my teeth. So that's why you're seeing going like that. So let me know what you think. I see the numbers going up. And in fact, and yes, I'm not excluding myself from this issue because I have air conditioning on. We're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. But I'm keeping it at 25 degrees. I keep it at 25, 26 degrees and try to like let it aim directly at me. Hold on. Let me just turn it up, you guys. Let me turn up the fan aspect. And I have to get the angle right. My this like I swear to God, you need like a PhD. I'm not kidding. You need a PhD to use this. It has so many options. Seriously, you guys. So the vane has to I have to adjust it so it's at the right angle. Hold on. You think I should have done this before, but I thought it was ready. I thought it really was ready. But I also made hot tea, which maybe wasn't the best idea. So, Solo Traveler says it's 9 p.m. here in China. Wow. Look at you. You're in China. Okay. I may have said this before, but yes, we probably need to do an interview. Okay, and I'll put more of your comments there. So yeah, I having not had a PhD in how to use the split, heater air conditioner. It's pretty good. I'm going to adjust one more thing. Okay. I think it's hitting the top of my head. Hold on. And I'm going to take also your questions about Albania or okay, now I feel it. Or about the move abroad. But yeah, nobody's talking about climate change as it has to do with all of these expats. We really are immigrants, and many people, I'm going to say we, the Holy Grail is Europe for many. Okay. I know not all, but I'm just saying. And why? Why is it Europe? Because what many of, and I'm not even going to call out the channels. There are many of them, right? They're good folks. This is what they talk about. But Europe is looked at as you've got great health care, better work-life balance, less gun crime. Absolutely. So just those three things alone, right? Many Americans have been Americans, Brits, and Canadians feeling like their country is too expensive, right? And so they're looking towards Europe. And of course, the Brits, I don't know, I feel like they're on it's Europe, but leaving Britain. Okay. So, but nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about it in the 5 countries where Americans can get a visa easily, 10 countries where your social security you can live on it, countries with lower cost of living that welcome Americans, right? So I just want to start the conversation is all I'm saying. I really think this is important. Hey, if you're just joining, um, we're talking about I've had this on my mind for almost 2 years, and I'm going to share some personal stories. And I have a lot of questions. I don't have solutions. If I had solutions, I'd be running the world. And I'm not, and I don't have all the solutions, but I have some thoughts about it because many of you, if you're watching my channel, you may be on a budget, okay, or moderate income. I feel like budget, moderate income, and you may be wanting to move abroad. And so I just feel that this needs to be talked about. So, and I will put a link to this video. It's specifically about Spain, the wildfires. It was really interesting. They interviewed an elderly couple, British couple. And you guys, the man was talking about, they had 2 cars. I'm not going to say more about that, but again, I think I have a really educated, very smart audience. So this British couple had 2 cars. They were fleeing the fire separately together, but they felt, I guess, more safety being in their 2 cars. And the man talked about having to drive through fire. Literally, the flames were up and he drove the car through fire, right? Um, and so it just really sparked me that I have to talk about it. And I hope other YouTubers will respond in their videos and just bring this into the conversation when we're talking about Europe and oh, go to the Netherlands, oh, such a great quality of life. Go to Spain, go to Portugal, right? Portugal is really, really hot, pun intended, right? And has been for about 12 years. but nobody's talking about some of these issues. So I'm going to share my first thoughts. What do I think we need to start thinking about? And please put your comments and your questions. If it's a question, put a Q in front of it, okay? Put a big Q and then put your question. Um, my first thought and my first sort of tip, or what I'm thinking, and again, I'm not exempting myself. You saw me just fighting with my air conditioner. Okay. We're going to talk about that, the problems with this. Um, but I think that's what stops people from talking about problems, meaning they don't have a solution or they know they're in it. Like, say I was a fashion designer and I wanted to critique the fashion industry, right? Then people are like, well, you're a hypocrite. But it's actually harder to be in something and critique it, right? Let me know, give me, thumbs up or something if you're following me. So I think that's why some people, again, in the travel on YouTube and the move abroad space are silent about this. They just keep talking about these ideal countries, move to this country, move to this country, go to this country. It's so great. They're not talking about this. But maybe it's because, who knows what it is, whether it's my karma, my personality. I have been worried about climate change and specifically started last summer. So let me share a little bit more personal. Last summer, when I saw Greece having, I think it was last summer, it might have been two ago, like horrible fires where the choice was like, and I might be mixing multiple in different places, but I remember Greece specifically because it was vacationers and it was hot and dry, and they literally had to try to take them out by boat. And you've got your choice between the ocean and this like dry hillside, like the fires here, and then you've got the ocean. Like, what do you do? So I really think it's important to talk about this, okay? Especially if you're thinking about moving abroad. So the first thing I'm thinking, like I said, I don't have all the solutions, but I was thinking we need to start talking about climate forecast and maps. Now, I want to say we know the billionaires have already checked out the maps, right? Like we know these exist. In fact, like a friend of mine, wonderful new friend, I neurodivergent, so sometimes it's like, oh, I can't talk, I just need, I'm going to isolate or whatever. But brilliant mind was going to send me one. But just Google and start to look at, if you want to be an expat, the climate in where you're thinking about. Okay. So not just, oh, what's the cost of living? Oh, can I get a visa? Do they like Americans there? Are they protesting against foreigners? What is the climate? Now, climate typically involves large swaths of time, but I'm just saying, I think I'm going to start looking at what's the weather in the last 2 years. Have there been fires, right? So these Brits that managed to get out alive out of Spain where the fires were, they definitely were out in the hills, right? Like many Americans and Brits and whatever, they bought a house and they wanted it in a scenic location. I'm not blaming them, but I think we need, like I said, I'm just raising the alarm. We need to put it in the conversation. What's the risk of forest fires with things being so dry, right? Um, what is the risk of forest fires in this beautiful area that you're being told, oh, you can get a cheap house, you can buy a cheap house. It's only, 180,000, it's only 250,000, and you can get a great house. Okay, great. But what's the risk of fires? Okay, so I think that's something that just needs to start getting in the conversation. Um, Let me stop and take your comments, and then I'll keep going here. Hi, Krista. Hi, Crystal. Isabella. Let's see. So, solo traveler is in China. I'm so like in awe of you. Um, They're saying that apparently the authorities suspect the wildfire started when a power cable broke, as Spain is sweltered, yeah, in scorching temperatures. And we're going to even get to that, right? The grid can't handle certain things. We're going to get to some comments I see here on YouTube that are just mean-spirited, specifically addressing like the French, okay? With just remind me to think of grid, and yeah, I think that a power cable snapped. I mean, it's hot. So already the grid that is existing can't handle it. Okay. Solo Traveler says, I love those protein balls. Yes. You know what? I'm gonna have a bite. They're so good. They're so good. Giving you time, especially good with cashews. And like I said, sunflower seeds, really, really good. Mm. Maybe that wasn't a good idea because it's very chewy. Oh, how am I going to talk? How am I going to do my live while chewing? Oh boy. Oh my goodness. Let's put up a new comment here. Mhm. Did you miss the intro? Because let me know. You're probably jumping in just a little bit. It's just 15 minutes in, but yes. Climate change is a major factor in the hot, dry weather that is giving rise to these. Yep. I mean, so yeah, I'm gonna have to, it's like an Asian thing. I'm gonna cover my mouth while I talk. I think that we need to start looking at the maps that forecast and talk about, and like I said, the very rich have already done this and done like the in-depth ones. Because as many of you know, the billionaires are building bunkers in New Zealand. Funny comment about that. I've always been drawn to New Zealand, and I'm just saying that because it fits in here, but New Zealand has always been a place that draws me, and for no reason. Like I had no real conscious reason. This is before Lord of the Rings, okay? But New Zealand would literally be on my mind. Krishan from Blacksit Global has said the same thing. We have some weird overlaps. So New Zealand, not Australia. Australia didn't draw me. It's New Zealand, and there are reasons I won't go into here because I won't get too woo-woo here. So we need to start looking at what's the climate of these places that people are talking about, right? Whether it's Portugal, right, which everybody's raving about, and it seems like a lovely country. I started watching Portugal before any YouTubers were talking about it, like any of any, significance or great numbers, like 12 years ago, maybe. So I'm not saying these countries aren't wonderful, but I think we need to really look at what's the weather. Do I want to be towards the southern part? Do I want to be in the mountains? Do I want to be more in a city? Is it safer? What is the weather like? Does it, and especially in recent years, I think that's important. And then geopolitical, you guys stay with me on this because this is big. If Europe is said to be the continent that is warming the fastest, Europe is the continent warming the fastest, and all these Americans and Canadians are moving to Europe, right? And a lot of British folks retiring to Spain. They love Spain. They love the warm climate. So I'm including them, even though I think they're on the European continent. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, they're there. I don't know. What are the geopolitical implications? Meaning, I have a sense that as this plays out, and like I said, I'm not an expert, so I'm sure experts have written papers about this. I haven't read them, but I'm just speaking to you as a interested person, pretty smart, but I didn't do tons of research before this video. But it seems to me the geopolitical implications, you're going to have countries where I'm not talking about boat people, migrants, but like middle class and upper middle class want to move to those countries. And then how is that going to be dealt with? Are certain countries going to rise again because they're not in the eye of the storm in terms of climate change, and especially as we're seeing it right now, like fires. It seems to be, and of course there's flooding too. I think there was flooding. You guys let me know. A lot of my viewers, you guys know from all over the world. I believe it was also Spain. There was a lot of flooding fairly recently, like horrible, horrible flooding just suddenly broke through and washed through towns. What are the geopolitical implications? So I'll jump to what some of my thoughts. Is South and Central America gonna rise even more because maybe it's not again, like I said, in the eye of the global warming storm? So are places that were previously looked down upon by some North Americans, say, and by Brits suddenly going to really start to rise because they are actually safer, climate-wise? It's really interesting. These safe countries then, are they going to really want to lock their borders? Now, some of you, I know those of you who are like, don't move abroad, blah, blah, blah. I won't I'll get into even the politics, but this is also happening within the United States. So again, where I am in Albania right now, we were part of that European heat dome. The heat dome is literally like what it sounds like. It's like the heat like locks in, like, you've seen those fancy coverings and like movies, keeping the food warm. Yeah, like that food that you put over food. And it was terrible. We were hitting, I think we hit 100, maybe 1 or 2 days, but very near, like 98, 99. And depending on the buildings, the lack of tree cover, it can feel really, really bad. So I was experiencing it, but I want to share a story with you guys. And this will also help those of you who are interested in slow travel. Okay, because I'll share some of my slow travel secrets. So last summer, I think it was last summer, I was in France. And what many of you don't realize, because you're like, well, Viv, if you're on this budget and you said, you're low income and you were a professor, but then because you left teaching, you didn't have all the savings and all of this, and your social security is low. That's all true. But for many of you, I know you're like, well, how can you travel because travel is expensive. So I'm going to explain, and this ties back into climate change though. Um, so this is like a secret. And I said, I have a short program. I can put the link below, or it's also above the video. It's my masterclass. This is one of the main secrets a lot of you still don't know. Now, solo traveler probably knows this, but on Airbnb, I know when you look and you see like 4 days is $500, right? And you're like, well, how could she stay there for a month? This is ridiculous. You have to have lots of money, and people are like, the math ain't mathing. Well, actually, on Airbnb, at least up until last summer, until I was using it. I'm not using Airbnb right now. Once you go to 28 days, guys, this is a really big tip. And I've seen more people starting to mention it, but people weren't mentioning it. Once you go to 28 days or 30 days in any Airbnb, and this is as of now, they can always change, they can like jerk people around, you get a huge slash in the price. So I was able to spend a month in France, not because I would have thought, well, you have to be rich. Literally, I paid about $870, which was very high for me. And the reason I was able to do it is because I had done some house sitting. So there were months I paid no rent. Okay. So I had months of zero rent. So I could pay, and this is part of what I teach you in my program, I could pay like $870 to spend a month in France. But guys, when I tell you it was broiling hot in France, and I was not thinking about climate change affecting me personally. Like, that's how I think that we are a little bit naive, and I'm including myself here. So the tip again, just to make sure you get it, go to 28 days. And what I do, many of you are like, well, I want to go to Paris or I want to go to Lyon. No, that's not how you do it if you want to save money and slow travel on a budget like I'm doing. I literally looked at all of France. I was like, "Oh, I want to go to France. Okay, show me France." And then I literally chose by what was the cheapest town. It was a random town. I'll tell you the name, but it was a random town. And I don't even remember what part of France. It wasn't southern France, but it was sort of um, a little bit off the beaten path. And it was called Montluçon. And it had a medieval center. And that seemed interesting to me. So, guys, got a great deal by literally looking what's the cheapest place in France, using other criteria to find a good Airbnb. So I made sure it wasn't a dump, and it wasn't. It was really quite nice. But it was broiling hot. So even myself, I got caught in the heat in France. And at the time, that's how naive I was. I was like, well, I guess it just gets normally this hot in this part of France. And then I want to say after about a week, I heard about fires in France, and I started to get scared. Okay, because again, just like these foreigners who were caught in the wildfire, I don't know all the systems, right? So I'm saying, think about this for yourself, not to scare you away from moving abroad, but just, I'm really, if it helps one or two of you, and I know it will. Like I said, first thing, start to look at climate forecast maps. I would say look at like at least the last 2 or 3 years to see what the recent climate is doing, forest fires, flooding, things like that. Think about the geopolitical. I'm predicting, I mean, and like I said, I know this is out there. I didn't read it, but I think countries are going to rise and fall in power by the fact that um, other sort of first world, I don't really like that term, but richer, like middle class and well-to-do expats are going to want to move to those countries where it is safer climate wise. Okay, so not even just crime or political, but literally the weather. And I know this is happening already. I have a friend who her job somehow relates to her knowing all about climate change. And she actually shared something with me. I'm just going to say it to you guys. It's disturbing, but she said, Viv, it's already happening. She said there are people, and I think it was in the Middle East somewhere, where people just literally fall over from the heat and then they just like die and like just are baked down by the heat. I know that sounds horrible, but she's like, it's already happening. And this is someone who's actually really changed her life to reflect that. She doesn't fly because she's like seen it. And she told me that because, like I said, the people fall and then they're just literally, if nobody can help them right away, they're just like baked. And it just sounded so horrible. So that is upsetting. All right. I want to get your comments on this. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say, let me just do one thing with my notes. And again, no one's going to listen to me per se, especially people who don't want to hear. But I would say that the time of travel for travel's sake is over. And like I said, I'm including myself in that, how can we? So I'm not traveling to take Instagram photos. I'm not traveling, and I'm not going to call out names, but to travel to every country in the world, or this is my 110th country. That's not what I'm doing. And I really think the time has passed. The time has passed for us to be just like, oh, I really want to go see this country. Oh, I really want to go see that. And like I said, I'm including myself. I think we have to make this calculation of what do we feel ethically and just morally. Um, and like I said, people are still going to continue doing what they want to do. But as a collective, as humanity, I think we need to start to begin the conversation about diminishing our travel. And especially when it's just for seeing this new place, right? For now, if you're like me, a lot of us, the people I'm talking to, are feeling like they literally can't afford their country. They cannot afford to retire in the US. They cannot afford to retire in Canada. They cannot afford to retire in Britain or Australia. These countries are so high in cost, right? And these may be the people who are struggling in those countries. I think that's different. And again, what I'm suggesting is that there's a difference between when you relocate to a country. You're going to contribute to the country, certainly through your taxes. You're going to live there. You're going to buy things. You're going to fund your life. I think that is different than just zipping around because you want to see, a new site. Okay, I think we're past that, and it is really sad because there are places I'd like to see. So I am drawing a line between people who are almost as well, and I know you guys have heard of it, like climate refugees. When we hear that, usually we think of the very, very poor, but I'm going to call it out. I think I'm seeing it when people talk about the Schengen shuffle. They're middle class, and much of the world would view them as wealthy, but they're middle class. Um, the climate refugee is coming, but it's economic refugees, right? Some economic, so there's a lot going on right now. There's so much going on. So I just want to talk about it. The reason I think Europe might, for many of you, still stay on top of your list, like, oh yeah, I want to go to Portugal, I want to go to Spain, I want to go to France. I think it's because they have the resources, and I want to know what you think. These countries, we clearly see they're dealing with this, like Spain, they have their firemen out, they have their military out. I think many people will still say, wow, I'd rather be there because I feel they'll spend their resources, the considerable resources that they have to try to battle climate change. So I'm going to pause again and see what you think. Are you thinking about this at all? Yeah. So let me put up, yeah, solo traveler. Yeah, thanks for your comment, solo traveler. New Zealand is stunning. Exactly. Like I said, this was a spiritual calling. I do believe that I have connection with the Maori. Like I have some sort of, yeah, see, I can't help it. I'm going to get woo woo. I definitely have some connection there. in previous times with that land and with the people. But yeah, so I didn't know anything about how expensive it was. I just physically felt drawn. I mean, I almost booked a ticket. The problem was it's so expensive just to get there. Like it's right from America to get there. I didn't have the money. I probably still don't have the money to get there. So yes, it's a stunning landscape. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy expensive. I need to rewatch Day. What happened in Day After Tomorrow? Guys, now if you see me start sweating again, it's because I'm drinking this is a lavender chamomile tea, and I let it cool a little bit. Was Will Smith in that, you guys, Day After Tomorrow? And also, please remember, I will be taking your questions about Albania. I'm going to try to be fair and honest. Also, I do have a guest coming up, okay, who is going to talk about the country of Hungary, because not many people can talk about Hungary. So I interviewed her, and she also was in Albania. It wasn't right for her, and she's going to talk about that. So look out for that next video. I think I will put it out Tuesday or Wednesday, okay, of the upcoming week. So, hey, Darina, welcome. Dorina says, "Hi, Viv. I'm finally here in Shkodra and it's quite warm. Staying at a hotel here in town for 4 to 5 days." Okay, she's giving her very specific info. All right, but I'm looking for a one-bedroom apartment for at least a month. Well, if it's just for a month, I would do an Airbnb. And my love, a hotel, very likely a hotel is going to be more expensive than an Airbnb. Even for 4 to 5 days. An Airbnb would have been cheaper even for 4 to 5 days. And if you're just thinking a month, I would still look towards an Airbnb. Dorina, I think I said this to you. Are you a channel member? So Darina, you haven't come to, we met yesterday and you haven't come in a while and you had some questions. Sorry guys to dive, but I'm pretty sure she's a channel member, which I'm really happy and grateful for. And so we meet every other week, and that's where you can really ask me questions and get support. And so Darina, I think you haven't been. So what's going on? You haven't been in the last like several, because that would be the best place. If you're, yeah, so if you have a question, I had said, put a Q before it, but I'll go ahead and, yeah, and answer. That's my answer to you. If it's a one bedroom for at least a month, I would do an Airbnb. Um, this is certainly going to be cheaper than a hotel. And let me just think for a second. If it's, Yeah, I think if it's 1 to 3 months, your best bet is going to be an Airbnb, not do a contract. Okay. But Dorina, come to our sessions. That's the best way to get your answers and get your specific support. Solo traveler. To be honest, I've never used Airbnb. Okay, so you're in China. Tell me where you're just staying at a hotel? Solo traveler. I'm really curious. So Airbnb, I think it's probably more evil. It has evolved, right? Remember, you guys, okay, and I'm going out on all the limbs here. Remember when Airbnb was not couch surfing, but it was like Margarita has a room that her child used to be in, and she'll show you pictures of the town in Mexico and she'll help you, and you're just staying in her spare bedroom. It's shifted from that to corporate and hedge funds buying, lots of apartments, stripping them down. It's not what it was. Airbnb is not what it was. Okay. Um, Most of us slow travelers are still using it. I also I look at booking.com, but some people, in some ways, Airbnbs are not across the board. So I don't like to make across the board statements, except, if they're like totally true. But some Airbnbs are so inflated, the prices are so inflated. Some people are pulling back from using it. But as I said, the tip for if you are on a budget, the 28 days, you can also get that with Booking. I'm pretty sure Booking does that because I think I've used Booking, but Airbnb That definitely is part of how Airbnb works. Because think about it, instead of the person, say, maybe renting their Airbnb 6 times out of the month and having the cleaning person come in 6 different times or 7 different times, right? And clean and pay them for that. You're there the whole month. It's a lot easier for them to deal with. You're just one person, you're one rental, right? So that's why you get the discount. I do try to, if possible, get a sense. Yes, actually, I'm giving more tips. Get a sense if it's a regular local person versus it'll be something like apartment 3, Sunny Apartments. And that's like often a corporate entity or like a fund. I try to like, it's Carlos, it's Iona Inescu. This is her, it was her mother's apartment, and I don't know. So that's what I try to do. Laura, hey Laura. So I think that's pretty much what I was going to say about we need to start talking about climate change. We need to start preparing ourselves as folks who want to be expats or immigrants to new countries from from America, from Canada, from Britain, from Australia. That's where many of us find our countries are too expensive. Okay. The working class folks in these countries, especially that I'm speaking to, I understand why you're looking at Southeast Asia, why you're looking at South or Central America. And many of you were looking at Albania. So again, put Albania questions in because that's where I am right now. Um, you may still be like, I still want to be in Europe, Viv, but just do your research, right? Because we're seeing these raging fires, we're seeing these heat domes. I do want to talk back about France. So, like I said, I was there last summer. As many of you know, because I know I have a smart audience, I have a intellectually curious audience. I see comments on YouTube where they're like, yeah, well, why don't those stupid Parisians just get an air conditioner? There's so many reasons. As I said, I'm not an expert, but they're just even common sense reasons. Of course, everybody now is like trying to get an air conditioner. But do you really believe that if everyone in Paris who can even afford the air conditioner installs it, gets it in, that their grid is built for that? Is their grid capable of handling that amount of usage? And obviously, and like I said, I think my viewers are really smart. You're going to realize that as everybody starts to use their air conditioning, right? That usage, what is that going to do to literally Paris, for example? We're just using Paris, the temperature, right? Because these things exhaust and they're using energy. So then they create more heat. So I'm stunned by some people who simply can't even like realize that, right? So obviously, and I did practice a little bit before this video because I want to not forget anything. So obviously, yes, they're going to need like cooling centers. But I think what we're going to see happening around the world, but especially in France, is we're going to see one political party go, oh yeah, everybody should get an air conditioner. That's it. That's the solution to this, which is an easy, and so they'll probably win. Okay. The party who's going to be like, you know what? We have to do like 4 or 5 different steps. We've got to plant more trees like now. We've got to have cooling centers. We have to change our schedule of when the kids go to school and the work. And that's going to be much more complicated, but would make more sense in the long term. I don't think that party will win because humans, sadly, I think we're going to go for the fast solution. What do you guys think? I think it's a shame. So again, yeah, the folks who can afford air conditioning are going to buy it. That's going to strain their grid. The grid is already strained in places like Portugal and Spain, right? So there has to be a multi-pronged solution. I just want to put that out there. I know most of you, I think, are intelligent enough that you know this, that the solution isn't just, well, why don't those dumb French people have air conditioning? Historically, they weren't dealing with temperatures like this, and it was more about trying to stay warm and, there are reasons, right? So I just want to apologize to the French for comments. If they're coming from Americans where they're just being really, really insensitive, um, yeah, but what can you do? So now, again, any questions about Albania? Um, And Dorina, I hope that was helpful. Dorina, if you have more specifics that you're comfortable with, you can put it in the chat, but I hope my answer to you helped. Let me know how come you don't come to sessions. It's so funny. Somebody was telling me that Stephanie Perry even said, I think she's restarted it at a much higher price point. But when she would have like group sessions for channel members, a lot of times folks wouldn't show up, and it's sort of disheartening. It's like, well, hey, and everybody thinks somebody else will show up, and it's like one person, two people, and I'm very grateful when they do. But 6 or 7 of you show up. I don't know if it's because you're like, oh, I don't have anything to share about my move abroad. I don't know what it is. So I'd be really curious. Let's see. No, Dorina, I am really curious about the Messy Bridge because that is so funny you mentioned that. There are 2 bridges in Skodra. One I made a video about that has holes in it, and like I said, I'm being very honest. A lot of YouTubers, especially with some countries, are just glossing over things, not the ones that live in the place. So, some of the great ones like Cafe 1912, and the guy, I can't think of his name, he's in Vlora. He puts up really realistic videos. Some people are, but the folks who just visit some of these countries and they leave glowing and they don't tell you anything about any of the negatives. So I'm not sure if the Messy Bridge is the one that I went over. I was literally terrified because there are holes that you could absolutely put your foot through. Now, most people ride their bike over it. So let me know, is that the one? It's a wooden bridge, or are you talking about the bridge that has cars going over it? And it's not clear literally from my Google. I was Googling it this morning. It's still not clear which one is the Messy Bridge, but yeah, I think I've been on it, if it's the wooden one with the holes. I'm not lying. I'm not lying to you. I was standing there, and there was only one person also walking, and I literally was like, because I'm a New Yorker, I'm like, "Okay, how can I do this?" So I, like, lined up behind her. I'm like, "If she walked this path, she didn't fall through," and she's, like, way ahead of me, but I'm like, "I'll be fine," right? Huge holes. I would say the biggest hole I saw in this bridge in Shkodra was about 4 foot, maybe literally a 4 foot opening in width, but only about maybe 10 inches this way. But if you were not paying attention, you could absolutely get your foot through there. Absolutely. So, like I said, everybody was pretty much on a bike, and on a bike, you're fine, right? The wheels are big and they go over it. So just be careful. The view from it is gorgeous, though. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, now we're getting questions, but we're getting really complicated questions. Wow. Okay. Hmm. My tea is cooled off. How does Albania tax Americans? Laura, that's a great question. I'm serious. What I would do, and I'm not being facetious here, do your chat GPT, and then the free one, completely free, chatgpt.com, even though I'm against AI, but it's so good for this, right? Use it sparingly. Do that, and then do your own independent research from reputable websites, especially websites by accountants and lawyers, not just some random blogger. Okay. This is for anybody. Laura, great question. Um, what I know is, or what I think, and this is complete speculation, and as even Rashida Dow was saying, and she's a lawyer, I'm not an accountant, and I'm not your accountant. And she's like, I'm a lawyer, but I'm not your lawyer. Um, the year that Americans can stay visa free, I am totally not clear on what the tax situation is. I did not check it. I really felt that I needed to be abroad. My stress level was that high in the US. And so I did not check what the tax situation is. I figured I will get somebody at the end of the year. My income is quite low, Laura, so I think you should also Google it. And no one comes to mind, but there is a couple firms that specifically handle Americans who live abroad. And a lot of times they'll have a blog, or they'll do a consult with you. So that's what I would do. But yeah, I haven't looked into that. It's a great, great question. I subscribe to China because although I still own a home in the US, I don't think I will be able to return for retirement. It's just not affordable. Ah, yes, yes, yes. So thank you. Thanks for subscribing. I think if you own the home, I think you're in a great position. You could either rent it and have stable income, and it literally, depending on where it's located, of course, have somebody just manage it for you. Maybe a family member, but someone, they get a certain amount. That's what I would do. If I owned a property, actually, I would probably sell it. The second option, sell it or keep it for rental income. Solo traveler, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Yeah. And how did you why China is what I want to know. So hopefully Solo Traveler will share with us why China. I feel like that's a bold place to visit. Are you slow traveling? Tell us. Yeah, I have no idea. And use your chat GPT and then do your own research. And I would literally do 3 steps, especially if you're higher income. Chat GPT, see what it says, Albania. Double check it with websites that are run by either lawyers, a law firm, or an accountant, because they should know. And then if you're really concerned and you have fancy financial stuff, book a consult with an accountant who can look at your specific case. Okay. Yes. Now, one thing I will say, not to not get viewers for this, but she has an EU membership. So I could not, some countries you can't find people who are expatting to. And so I was so excited by the fact that I found somebody, she found my channel actually, and reached out, and then we talked a little bit. But you can't find many people who are in Hungary. Okay. So I interviewed her, but she's not the typical American or even the typical Canadian, in that she already has that EU ability to move to different countries. So right now, I'll just tell you right now, for Hungary, um, you have 3 months. We have our 3 months within 180 days. So the way I think of it is like if you do 3 months, you gotta leave for 3 months, right? And that's your 6 month block, and then you can come back. Pad it a little bit, give yourself some extra days so you don't get stuck because you do not want to get in trouble with the EU. Jake Gyllenhaal was the star in the movie. US people migrated to Mexico. Thank you for that, Krista Isabel. Okay, I'm gonna try to save the chat. Yeah, because I do wanna watch that movie. I don't think I did see it then. So, first of all, many Americans have already immigrated to Mexico, as you probably know, right? And, the thing that I think Mexico is doing to retaliate, interestingly, sorry, guys, it's this warm tea heating me up. Um, what Mexico did is it raised the income level way beyond what you need to move into Mexico. So I could not Previously, I probably could have qualified to move to Mexico long term. I think they raised it to like 2,600 a month, or like something so high. You do not need that to live in Mexico. But I think it was like a little retaliation. Like, fine, we'll just take the Americans with more money if you're gonna, talk smack about us like this. So that's my take on it. But thank you for that. Jake Gyllenhaal was the star in the movie US People Migrated to Mexico. Yeah, many Americans are really happy in Mexico. In fact, I think it's the country that has the most Americans in it. I should say US Americans. Picky Girl says US Americans because they're South Americans. You know what I mean. Just forgive me on that. I'm just going to say Americans. You were traveling, Dorina. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm so sorry that you missed it. You had also some other very detailed question that you asked in the comments. It's like, this is more of a face to face, a Zoom to Zoom. Um, and I don't, for those who want to be channel members, it's open to any woman 50 and above. I really want to have a diverse community of people who are open-minded, non-dogmatic. That can be tricky, okay? But we try. Um, we meet every 2 weeks. So we met yesterday, so we will meet again not next Saturday, but the Saturday after. Okay. And I'll always post when it is in the post, or just come to my channel, you'll see it. Oh, okay. Oh, that's wonderful. Solo traveler. So yeah, I don't remember because with the names, I can't remember who people are, but I would love to interview you unless I have already, but no, I don't know. China, no. Reach out at I'm gonna guys, it's so funny. I have an email for this channel, but I can't remember if it's hello at, so I'm going to give an email for my other channel, assistant at In the Flow of Magic. Um, so you're in China. Okay. Well, there. Assistant at In the Flow of Magic. If you would like to be interviewed, if you are a woman who's solo, and not, and I want to clarify, you traveled solo initially. Doesn't mean you have to remain solo forever. The channel is focused on women who are making that decision to move abroad or slow travel solo. Um, Initially, okay? So solo traveler, yeah, I'm less impressed because you're with an international school, and I know a lot of folks can teach in China. I might be doing some online teaching with Asian students soon, but that makes sense to me. I understand it. It's still impressive. I mean, because it's China. It's like, I don't know that I would um, travel that far. I have seen some videos of women of various backgrounds who are happy in China, um, teaching. So yeah, that's fantastic. Two bedroom. Yeah, that's great. I have definitely taught online to Chinese students. Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying that. Holistic Self. Hey, Holistic Self. Can't wait to move to Albania. I'm a South Australian. Okay, I do remember you now. And your name I should remember because I think I say holistic a lot, and I think I might have had a website with holistic for a while. So let's see. It gets over 40 Celsius. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, Holistic Self, do you have any questions about Albania? And you might want to join my channel membership. I apologize because it does vary by country. YouTube did this on its own. So like literally if I tell you the price, because somebody was like fighting with me, well, the price is different. I'm like, I literally just saw they're doing a cost of living. So if you live in, say you're in Norway, my membership is higher than what I set it for the US, if that makes sense. Listen, I can't fight with YouTube, okay? They sent me this huge ass list, okay, of all the different countries, and some were the same, and some were like, they had an up arrow, and they're like, it's really this in their currency. I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, hey, you'll often get me, small group, support, advice. I'm really good at getting around obstacles, especially in things like this. So it might be worth to join for a month or two. But yeah, Holistic Self, if you have questions about Albania, definitely feel free to ask. Put a Q in front of it so I can see it easily. Because I will be honest with you, but I hear you on climate change. So she is verifying this far. Bushfires are standard. Yeah. It's horrifying. It is really horrifying what we've done. It makes me sad. Solo traveler, yes. Teaching in China. Okay. This will help you remember with your channel name. After your 1-year visa runs out in Albania, will you check out Georgia? I'm asking because you mentioned it in one of your videos. Thank you for asking that question. It's a great question. And listen, you also prompted me, you guys. Am I hot flashing? I'm like too past that to be hot flashing because now I'm too cold because I actually don't like air conditioning. I'm going to be really honest with you. You guys know I put it up to 28, which is like 80 degrees. I don't even know what 28 Celsius is. Okay, it stopped because you guys, not making this up. I first owned an air conditioner okay, so I'm 62, left America. Okay, wait. In my late 50s, meaning my whole life, I never owned an air conditioner. To me, this is proof of climate change until like the last 2 years I was in the States. I was like, I can't take this. It is so friggin' hot. I broke down, you guys, and found an air conditioner. Um, so I was living in a college town. I love college towns. And so people leave all the time, right? They come in, they get new stuff, and they leave. I got an air conditioner for $25. Okay. Again, this is my proof of climate change in my personal experience. So I may check out Georgia. Um, I'm trying to think if I should break break the news. What I do want to say here is I got a long ass email from someone lecturing me about a particular worldview they had and what they thought was happening, and that's fine. But they were like, you need to watch this and this and this video. And I mean, it was really long. In their sort of what they thought was happening in the world. And why did I bring that up? Oh, they said, oh, because your channel is about people telling people to move to Albania. And it wasn't anti-Albanian. It had some more general thing, whatever. But my channel, so Solo Traveler, thank you for prompting me with this. And I know that wasn't you who had written me. My channel is not about telling people to move to Albania. I said this last video, but not everybody sees every video. It's about women 50, 60, maybe 70s who, for a variety of reasons, not just economic, want to live abroad out of the US, Canada, Britain, Australia. Those are just the main countries, but mostly the US, of course, because I'm from the US, for a variety of reasons. Maybe you've always wanted to live abroad. Maybe you've always loved France. I mean, France has a certain mystique. Let's not, as does Italy. Okay, so my channel is not about telling people to move to Albania. It's where I am now because I'm exploring it, and so I'm making videos about it. So that I'm doing thumbs up because a lot in Albania, because I don't speak ship, which is how the language is. So I'll just do a thumbs up and everybody understands the thumbs up. I'm like, and they're like, so I literally started like just randomly thumbs upping. So I'm thinking of Georgia because somebody else did say, I guess it's Tbilisi, Go Farther Together. They are an African American couple. They work, so kudos to them. What I mean by that is they work, they're not just like working on YouTube. Okay. That's what I mean. So me, I'm on my retirement and I do YouTube to supplement and because I like sharing and I'm an educator at heart. They have gone, like I said, they are African American and they absolutely felt very comfortable in Georgia and they loved it. And so, I've also watched many other videos about it. So I'm thinking about it because they do give a year. But because my attention, again, back to the climate change, but just also my spirit, I wanted to settle somewhere. So I'm looking at some other countries as well, and when I do, I will absolutely make videos about it. I haven't made a decision yet, but I am looking for a country to settle. So the 1 year thing, I don't know solo travel, and I know a lot of you do wonder with it. Oh, wonder about this. I know you could easily bop back and forth. So you could do Georgia and then Albania and Georgia and Albania. And like I have wonderful landlords. Our relationship is very good, and I hope it remains this way. Some things are a little fuzzy. I won't get into that here yet. But up to now, they have been really wonderful, and I really hope that continues. They've been very kind, and pretty fair. And so, I probably could re-rent with them. Um, and go back and forth, but that's just not feeling like what I want to do at my age. I would like to maybe have a garden. I'd like to really feel settled. I'd like to maybe be in relationship. And I feel like that going back and forth is unsettling. So I may go check it out. And then maybe if I really like it, I don't know that Georgia has what it is to stay. Actually, I think it's doable for me. But technically, again, for me and many Americans, whatever your background, some of us, because I am below the average. As you know, the average means there's people above and there's people below. So the average Social Security, I believe, is 1,500. I'm not at the $1,500 level. To me, if I were on 1,500, I'd be dancing in the streets. Really, I'd be very happy. Um, So my point was there aren't that many countries. Literally, I'm going to name them because this might help some of you. The countries that I think with a really low American Social Security that are still viable, I'm just going to list them. Panama, Portugal is still viable. Albania, I believe Georgia is in that. I haven't investigated it for more than the 1 year. And then there are some other countries. Romania, I think, I'm going out on a limb, it may become the new Portugal. Yes, I said that. July 12th. I just want to be remembered that I said that. And may be wrong. Um, early stages, Albania is probably the next new Portugal. I think Romania also is there, has a lot of pluses, and is doable for Americans on a lower than the average. What other countries do I know? I believe Colombia also. Some I'm vague about because they just aren't on my radar, but I think Colombia, not sure what the income level is, but I know Panama, I know Portugal. Like Portugal, it still is like 900 something euros, which is a little over $1,000 or something. Some savings are required. But those are some countries. If you guys know of others, oh, certainly, like, I don't think so much about the Southeast Asian ones because it's not clear to me for long term. I'm not into this idea of visa runs every few months. That doesn't sound steady to me, you guys. But do share in the comments or chat if you know better. I know Vietnam is affordable. I know the Philippines is affordable, Thailand, but I don't know about their longer stay visas, that the requirements are what I would call affordable. They seem to want to encourage people to kind of just visa run and not like root and settle. But if any of you know different, please share it, especially once the video is over, in the chat. Yes, but great question. Thank you, Solo Traveler, for that, because I did want to reiterate my channel is not solely about Albania. I want to interview women of all backgrounds, as long as they're in their 50s and up, who are solo, slow traveling as a lifestyle, as a way to ease their economic difficulties, start a new chapter. So Laura says we need more thought on alternative energy. Absolutely. Well, but that's being smothered. Listen, do you guys, who remembers Jimmy Carter? Jimmy Carter, I'm old enough to really remember him. He was blasted a new one. He was made horrible fun of. I think that history, I've already seen it. He's elevating in time because he was one of the first, I believe, to really say, look, because I think we had an energy crisis under him, which is how bad the Americans, in terms of history and what we get taught in schools. But I remember it in real time, like from my memory. I believe we had an energy crisis, and he proposed that we cut back on our usage. And he got, you guys, they were just like, oh my God, he's so weak. He was blasted. He was blasted, just denigrated, insulted. So you're going against the powers that be that want that it's about their profit and even alternative energy. There's a young woman I watch occasionally, and she was talking about, just quick on alternative energy, about solar farms taking over a town in upstate New York. And I was like, oh my Lord. And just the incredible impact it was having. The whole town was turned into like a solar farm. So again, it has to do with that corporatization, not letting the humans have their say. She talked a lot about how animals, once you're talking acres and acres and acres, miles and miles, an animal like a fox or whatever it doesn't understand that it has to walk 4 miles to cut through, or a bear or a deer, right? So there's issues with all of it. It really comes down to, will we really discuss things as a society? Will we have town meetings? Will information be shared honestly? Things like that. Hold on, guys. All right. Okay. Solo travel. It's a small beach condo in a non-rental building. Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, I would sell it and invest. Certainly, that's one of your options. Of course, you do what you think is best. Yes, absolutely. It is nice to have a foothold, though. I know I just said that, right? Now it's like, well, so there's 3. Yeah, and I guess, yeah, you can't rent it out, was what I hear you saying. Yeah, there's no okay. Yeah, then, sell it. The whole US po Krista, I love it. Krista Krista Isabella is telling me, "No, don't tell me the whole plot, okay? So stop right now. The whole US population moved because the country went into an ice age." That's what I'm saying geopolitically, and like I said, I know there's, thought papers about this, like, I know I'm not the only one thinking about this, but I don't think the average person is thinking about it, but again, the elites, the higher ups, and actual scientists are thinking about this, so I think countries' power is gonna really shift if a country happens to be safe, um, climate change wise, to be fairly, maybe it was a freezing country, but now it becomes more temperate, which actually somebody said to me, oh, wow, that's the whole thing with Greenland. Is it Greenland, you guys? And shipping routes. So, look, our brain is going to start to hurt when we go into this. Oh, no. No, it isn't, Laura. I'm genuine. I'm, gen- I'm genuinely shocked. Like, Mexico, Mexico. You and I know. I know I could live in Mexico on like easily on 1500 and probably on less. In parts of Mexico, not Mexico City. I wouldn't go to Mexico City. But Mexico is like you need 4500. Are you serious? Do you guys see how this is retaliation? It's the only $4,500. Now, I've heard there might be some workarounds. I'm not going to say anymore. Depends. I think it only depends if you were in Mexico during certain years, there is some slight exemption if you had previously been in Mexico and you can prove it, you can and maybe just in certain places, key offices will be like, "Okay, you were here, whatever," and they'll but yeah, this is ridiculous. 4,500. I'm going to be honest, if I had 4,500, well, I just don't know that then Mexico would be my very, very first choice. I'm just saying because to me, 4,500 is a lot of income. I could live in many places. I could probably live in Switzerland on 4,500 but that's probably not true. That's probably not true. I love your comment. So I thought of San Miguel de Allende, but was priced out. Um, Krista Isabella, talk to my friend, Lisa in the Know. Her website, I believe, is Lisa in the Know MX. No, Lisa. Go look on my channel. I've interviewed her 3 times, and I have another interview with her coming up about a different topic. So I have a lady talking about Hungary coming up, and then after that, very likely the next video or the one after will be Lisa, and we have a great chat. She is in San Miguel Allende, and I know she's on a budget. You might want to book a call with her, Krista Isabella. But right, but to qualify, Mexico itself is saying you need that much. Right. She got in before the 4,500. Pretty sure. Pretty sure. San Miguel Allende is fabulous. I was looking at it again before anybody was talking about it. Krista Isabella, you love Albania. That is awesome. That is awesome. Tell me again where you are. So you're not finding any of the negatives problematic enough? Krista Isabella, were you weren't the person, it was Dorina who was in Shkoder. Krista Isabella, where were you? Yes, Ecuador. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for being so honest about your monthly income, Viv. You really give hope and encourage many of us with your honest content. Yes, though I mean, you're teaching in China, so you're probably doing, I mean, I think China pays pretty well. Not, yeah, you're doing fine. You're doing fine probably in China. Ecuador, yes. Ecuador is the other one. Cuenca. I've heard, but then I spoke to someone because this is great. I'm kind of becoming a hub for, and women we are sharing. We need to share because whether issues specific to women. I'm sort of in like almost like a chat line, like different women individually are sharing stuff with me, and I'll share it with you, changing any information, of course. Um, but Cuenca is quite high up. So I recently spoke with a woman, she might watch this in the replay, and she could not deal with the altitude. Now there were lower altitude towns, but Cuenca is the one everybody's raving about. I said to her, is it Boquete? Is Boquete? No, Boquete is Panama. But Cuenca, Ecuador, if I'm not wrong, is quite high in elevation. She said she felt intoxicated, you guys. Like literally dizzy. She was there for a while. She tried different things, like remedies. Nothing helped. She may go back and try to acclimate slowly, low elevation, medium elevation, then hit Cuenca. But no one I had heard had talked about that. So this woman is in our age group, maybe late 50s, 60s, and she could not function in Cuenca. But yeah, Ecuador. You remember Melsky? Hey, welcome, Melsky. You remember? Yeah, he's your favorite president. Yeah. I remember it. I was quite young, but I literally remember being like kind of swayed against him too. And then there was some whole thing where he tried to rescue some hostages, and they just blasted him for that because that did not go well. He sent in troops, like a team of troops to rescue hostages, and it failed. And they acted like the man had just personally killed those people himself. I admired him because while I am not I think he was a fairly conservative Christian, though having said that, I don't think he'd recognize where folks are today. He was sort of a more mainstream. That's not necessarily my background now, but I had tremendous respect for him because I feel anybody who lives to the morals and lives as a good person, whatever their religion, is amazing. And I could clearly see that with him, right? We saw that up until the very end. So I do admire him now. And like I said, he's going up in historically because with history behind us, we can see where he was ahead of his time. So yes, kudos to him. Hmm. Oh, is that what was that one of the things? Yep, he said put on a sweater instead of putting up the heat higher. I know. So those of you watching from Europe, y- this is how it was with America and still is. Right now, I could say though, as a New Englander, I do know people now we have Americans who are like, yeah, I can put on another sweater. But I know in Europe, that is more the attitude, like, let me let me work with this. Okay, let me not just crank my heat up. But in America, we will just crank the heat up. Okay, that's what we would do. So yes, he said put on a sweater instead of putting up the heat higher, and people were just horrified. It was like the man said, I don't care, I will slap you in the face. And he said that, really sad because we can see now what presidents can say, and it seems to cause very little alarm. And yet, here's a man just saying, these are some ways we could cope with this. There is an energy crisis right now. The price had soared. He was literally offering ways. We're Americans. We had multiple sweaters. Let's be honest. We could put on some layers. Cambodia has a 1-year renewable. Okay, I didn't know that. I Cambodia still feels a little too out there for me. Funny enough, I'm drawn to Sri Lanka, which is because I had a Buddhist teacher from Sri Lanka. Um, but thank you for that. Cambodia has a 1-year renewable. Do you know? So the income is fairly low. I'm sure it is. If it's Cambodia, I'm sure the income is lower. I should probably check out Southeast Asia. I need to talk to women who are doing Southeast Asia. Holistic Self says Southeast Asia. I looked into it as it's close to Oz. The visa runs. Okay, so Holistic Self, did you see what she just said about Cambodia? That check into Cambodia just to see, even maybe for a visit. But Holistic Self, yeah, tell me where in Albania again? You might have told me last time, but I don't necessarily remember with the screen names and all of that. The visa runs scare me. I know Thailand is tightening up. And can we just really briefly pause? And this is not whatever they call it, the right wing calls it, whatever, virtue signaling. I'm not. I genuinely was horrified. This young woman who probably was a sex worker. She was quite young in Thailand. I don't know 100% for sure, but it appears that she was. And that matters not. She was killed actually by an Australian man, allegedly. There are videos of him taking her body out in a suitcase, and just so disturbing to me. The people that go specifically to Asia, especially for that, for sex tourism. And supposedly he was fighting with her over $15, you guys, 15 or $20. Like literally ruined it, ruined her life, took her life, allegedly, and ruined his own over $20. Okay. Just so sad, and just may she rest in peace, and her family. I mean, that's something I think it'd be very hard to heal from. Just breaks my heart that I know a lot of young women are um, doing that work and helping their families around the world, obviously, not just in Asia, but this man, um, took her life. So just very, very sad for me. I'm literally getting choked up thinking about it. So I don't know if those of you had heard of it. I hope they do investigate him, because many, many people are saying, you know what, with how he did this, he very likely, this was not the first time, perhaps, that he had done something like this. So it just pains me. And I can't imagine how the Thai people feel um, about having something like this. So yeah, Thailand is tightening up, and I feel like when people, immigrants, visitors, expats do horrible things in a country, I know this is like a huge stretch, right? It's this tiny percent, but I do think that, of course, affects how the people of that nation think about having foreigners in their country. As I said, with Mexico, how does it make Mexicans feel when we blanket our government, especially and some of our Americans blanket, trash talk the whole country. In the same way, I wonder how the Thai people feel, when here is this nation that is welcoming, that is just almost universally said that the people are kind, tolerant, and then something like this happens. It just breaks my heart. Yeah, it breaks my heart. Okay, okay, wow, solo traveler. I do think I would like to talk to you. You really have a lot of experience. My, again, assistant in the flow of magic, I'll pop it up real quick, because that's the one that I can remember. That email might be one where, because I could interview you. Yeah, I just feel a little bit when I am pretty intuitive, and of course anything can happen. So I'm not trying to say intuition is 100% protects you. But when I feel into Cambodia, like I sort of tune in, it just doesn't quite feel um, right for me. And I feel a little sense of a shiftingness almost. I don't know if there's something happening at their border. I know Thailand is having something. So it is intense. It's not the safest Southeast Asian country. Yeah. I actually almost have a better feeling when I tune into Sri Lanka. But you know what? And I do want to, you guys, I'm going to keep looking at your questions. Thank you so much, and your comments. But I do want to end the first part of this, where I was talking about climate change, by saying this is something I want to say. It's very woo woo. So I'm going to lose some, probably, folks in the replay, not you guys who are here live. But I still think we have to also trust our intuition. So what do I mean by that? Say you love France. You really want to go to France, right? You guys know I've become friends with Karen, who I interviewed her for my channel. She left Albania and moved to France, and she loves it there. She is dealing with the heat. I would still say Also trust your intuition. Do all the research I was talking about. But if your heart says, I'm supposed to be in France, I'm supposed to be in Lyon, or I'm supposed to be outside in Bordeaux, still listen to your intuition. So you've got the right brain, the facts, right? The predictions, and then your left brain, the more intuitive, and your prayerful, your whatever you get from your higher self. That's really what I believe. I still think a country, may be safe for you that may not be safe for somebody else. I know that sounds weird to some of you if you're not a spiritual person, but I do think that that can be so. Ecuador, yes, there's an uptick in crime in Ecuador, but I've heard it's more by the coast. So solo traveler, or anyone hearing this, you've got to do your due diligence. I have heard Cuenca so far is still fine. Of course, many Americans have cut and run. That is also the privilege that many Americans have, right? If we go to a country and things go south, we might, for many Americans, they have enough money, then they get out of the country. So there are many people who are still very happy in Cuenca. It's said that it's safe, but do your research with people who live there and who are current. Look at your statistics. I mean, the State Department is going to warn. The State Department warns, I feel like, is quite high, high alert for many countries. But do your research. Absolutely. I am not drawn to Ecuador, guys. So again, that's what I'm saying. It's intuition for me. Oh, you are in Poker Deck. Yeah, okay. Yes, Krista Isabella. Great. Great. Did you see my video on, you probably commented. So you like Poker Deck. Nice. You guys, if you are thinking of Albania, which is where I have been for the past several months, someone reminded me, you guys, I lost count. I was like, oh, I've been in Albania for 2 months and 2 weeks. And they're like, no, you haven't. You've been here longer. I was like, God. Listen, I know it's not a year, okay? I know I have a year. This is how my mind works because I am an intuitive, I'm an artist. So my mind, it's almost like I see it like a shape. It's a big shape. I know I'm not reaching the end. Okay, but I think I have been here for like 4 months. So don't ask me for tax advice. Do you see? My brain with numbers it's not good. It's an intuitive flow. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad you like Poker Deck. I'm still thinking about Poker Deck. It is a beautiful town. I did make a video on it, guys. Go check it out. It's only about 10 minutes. I walk along the boardwalk. Check out also, it's not Patrick and Poker Deck, but Patrick something. He does a lot of walkarounds. He has an extremely positive view of Albania and Poker Deck. So he may be I watch my video, I talk about what some women have experienced, specifically in Poker Deck because it's a small town, but he does wonderful walk around. You can see the streets. He goes into back streets, which I think is important. He doesn't just show the tourist area. I show you the main area. I go a little off the beaten path, but do watch that Poker Deck video. The Lake Ohrid is beautiful. As I said, I heard this information that the dictator, when he was dictating, he had his summer home in Poker Deck. To me, that tells you a lot. Like, it's like, where does the head of your country go to vacation? Means it's going to be pretty nice, right? So it was quite a lovely town. The lake is beautiful. It's a deep lake. It was a choppy lake. I don't think I could swim in the lake because it was such a deep, big, dramatic lake. So that influenced me a little bit. But so Krista, oh, this is so fantastic. And listen, did you missed our live as the group, the QBs, right? The quiet broads, just calling us QBs. Like I said, I think I'm in trouble there with Beyonce. It'd be interesting for Beyonce to try to sue me. Um, it'd be pretty funny. So yeah, I don't know if she uses QBs or whatever. Or she's the queen bee. We're just Q. We're just Q for quiet. So yeah, we had a session yesterday. It would have been lovely to have you. But yeah. Melski says, oh wow, so you guys are gravitating to Albania. I'm going to be in Pogradec in 2 months. We'll probably settle there or Korcha. Melski, yeah. I'm just gonna say, I'm just putting it out because we're gossiping. We're gossiping online, okay? two different sets of people both told me they were like, with Korcha. I am also still, I didn't visit Korcha. I should have visited Korcha when I was in Pogradec because it's very close. But again, these two sets of people who are like, it's okay. I don't, you know, I want nature. And when I looked at it through Google, they're like, there are lots of like smaller parks. I don't know. Check it out. I would love to know what you think of it. I really, when I got on the bus and did that, huge trip south to Albania, didn't go as far as Saranda. I really should have looked at Korcha. I feel like it seems interesting on paper. Absolutely. I think you're going to love Pogradec. I think you're going to love Pogradec, Melski. And I'll forget what you told me and ask again, but so just know that. But I'm really happy for you. In 2 months, you're going to be there. I feel like Spirit is telling me to say cash is king in Albania. Listen, Melski and who? Melski, Krista Isabel, to get a leased apartment? Yes. Good point. Guys, find an account in America or your home country that will not charge you for the ATM fees. One such company is Schwab. I believe Fidelity also has you want an account because in Albania, the fees for each withdrawal are like $8, $7 per withdrawal. So so Schwab, for instance, refunds your international bank transaction fees. Look into it for yourself. You have to get the right account, but it's absolutely worth it, guys, okay? Because everybody wants cash in Albania, okay? The only place that you're really, and I might make just a quick short about this, but I just feel like I'm supposed to share it here. The only place that you're going to really use your card is like supermarkets and like chain stores, which if you're on a budget, you're going to want to go more local. The locals do not want to pay credit card fees and card fees. They will want cash. So you're going to walk around, you're going to need cash. They're walking around with cash, you're going to need cash, just so you know. So Melski, try to get that set up before you go to Albania, okay? Let me know if that was helpful. Like I said, I know Schwab does it, and I think Fidelity has one. Set up that account or link it to your bank or do Wise, but I don't think Wise refunds the transaction fees. And that's what I'm telling you is crazy high in Albania. I don't know why. They act like the ATM. I don't know. Is Pogradec on a lake? Yes. So solo traveler, you need to watch my video. Hold on. I'm gonna get it really quick. Shoot, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna grab it. They're different titles, so I don't want to tell you the title because I'm testing different titles. But hold on, let me get the link. Saved share. Okay, and I'm going to copy the link and I'm going to put it right in here. Yeah, please do watch it, check it out. I went to Pogradec, Albania, and it is the 11th most populous town. And I think, give you a good sense of it. I share honestly. So this is now in the live. Like if you're here live with me now, and 12 of you are, many more are going to watch on the replay. I'll put this link below to that video about Pogradec. Yeah. It's a beautiful town. And right now it's peak season. So I'm going to go back. I saw another great comment. I think it was, yeah, Krista Isabella. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'm currently in Pogradec. I will look for a year apartment lease here and apply for residency. Okay, you already know you like it. That seemed pretty fast. I think if you know you like Pogradec, it absolutely makes sense. For me, guys, maybe it's just, actually, I know it's not just me. I've talked to many, many people, many expats. I went to Tirana, Albania, too much of a city for me, but I actually quite liked it as a city. I'm not going to diss Tirana. I thought Tirana was a very vibrant, busy, intense city. So if you like city, go there. Okay. If you want to be in Albania, but you want city, go there. Probably the most expats. Then I went to Vlora, which strangely enough, I really liked. I only went there because I saw an Airbnb. I know this is going to sound strange. Like I said, my spirit called me there. It had an ocean view, and I said, you need to calm after leaving the US, and that ocean was so calming, and I did really like Vlora, okay? I have videos on Vlora, check that out. It definitely has some things to recommend it. It also, though, is the town closest to where that Jared Kushner, that whole fight, the fight with where they're going to make the resort. It's kind of right around Vlora. That actually put me off Vlora a little bit because it was brewing. This was before the flamenco revolution, guys, but it was already being talked about. It was not in the media, but I already was like, this is why I say sandals on the ground, right? I was like, I don't know. Now, the protests mainly are in Tirana, but and there definitely, I'm sure, been some in Vlora, but that's where the reserve area is in Vlora, Albania, which is a beach, a seaside town. But wow, you really made up your mind so fast. I'm really curious. Did you look anywhere else? Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, you guys, I'm looking out my window because again, Albania, street dogs, street cats. There's a really skinny cat, skinny but healthy, kind of just walking outside my window. So yes, Poker Deck is on a lake. I would say it has a cafe culture. I think Shkoder has more of a cafe culture, but Poker Deck has the lake right there, right in town. The lake is there, and that's what I loved about it. In Shkoder, I'm going to say this. I don't want to offend anybody. Well, they're building, you guys, in Shkoder. They're building a park, but my God, it's probably going to take a year and a half. That will be riverside. So the whole town, it's like there's this river, but none of that is developed. So I'm laughing because I was like, literally this morning, I really just wanted nature. A big part of the reason, economic, and I want peace and I want nature. And so I thought, as I said in my video about Skoder, please watch that if you're interested in it. With Skoder, the nature is about 25 minutes. You need a bike. To walk to get to nature in Skoder, it's about 25 minutes to half hour. And especially in the summer, it's quite hot. So that's been my disappointment, but it has great cafe culture. So Poker Deck, yeah, there's tons of restaurants by the water. I don't know though in the winter. To both you, the solo traveler who's asking the question, Melski and Krista Isabella. It's funny, all three of you. You see that? You should join my group and then you could meet each other and connect. Those solo travelers in China, but has great questions about Albania. Um, I know the person who told me who left Albania, who lived in Pogradec for 2 years, felt that in the winter it was too quiet. So guys, I'm just putting that out to you, Melski and Krista Isabella. Just know, now that might be fine for me. I really am an introvert. I really like nature. I think they even do get snow. Check it out. I have below the Pogradec video that I made. I have links to other videos depending on your demographic or what you're looking for. I literally have like 6 different channels you can go to. Okay, so please, if you appreciate the work I put in, check out that video if you're looking at Poker Deck. It was Poker Deck, and Poker Deck's in the name, and so I put it, yeah, it's in the chat now. I think that's the Poker Deck one. And you can click on it and just open it. Retire overseas. Thank you. I really think it should be Patrick and Poker Deck now, right? But he travels around, but they live in Poker Deck. I did not meet him when I was there. I was there for 3 nights and 2 days. The meetup was happening, but I'm not a huge group person. And I really wanted to get a sense of the town for myself, what it felt like for me. Yeah. Great. Wow. Lots of comments. Let me move on. So yes. So good luck, Krista Isabella, and you're very smart. You're absolutely right to wait till September. Absolutely right. In fact, I have another friend who's there now, who I think he can't quite get a permanent lease till September because then you're going to get a good price, right? Yeah, Viv, go with that feeling about Cambodia because it's like the wild, wild west. I'm telling you, I just sense into things. I just sense into it, and then I'm like, okay, that's what spirit, okay, you know? So she's sharing her wisdom here. It's very walkable. Absolutely. That's another thing that raised Poker Deck up was that beautiful lake. I hear in the winter, again, I'm just trying to give you the negatives that you may not know right away. In the winter, the wind whips off of that lake like crazy, probably like Chicago, right? I've heard that. I guess it's Lake Michigan, is it, guys, in Chicago, that the wind is intense, but it's not crowded. It's easygoing. It's also not as tourist congested. And the main thing, Poker Deck, it's not as hot. It is 10 degrees cooler than Skoder and Tirana. It has been my experience. I literally, on my iPhone, I have the cities, and it is 10 degrees cooler, which was also probably why the dictator, the leader at the time, vacationed there. So I wouldn't sleep on that. Like when you hear that, whether it's Thailand or whatever, oh, the president, this is where they vacation, that tells you typically that's a very posh area. It may actually be unaffordable, but in Albania, Poker Deck is affordable. It's cooler. So yes, to escape the heat, absolutely. So like I said, I'm thinking about Poker Deck. Not 100% convinced, and the tourists are Albanian tourists. It's more local tourism. It's more local tourism. Yes, going back to the young woman, yes, she was 17. Thank you, holistic self. I know. We're not, it's not our fault the country we're from, but you mentioned Australia. Yes, she was 17. This is jumping back to the young woman, basically a child. She looked like a child. She looked very young, um, who was killed by a middle-aged Australian man. He claims it was self-defense. He's huge and she's quite tiny. And he didn't then, there's just a lot of things that don't add up. And like I said, just really disturbing. So again, then how are the Thai people going to feel when they think about like Westerners, right? Do you see how that's what I'm also saying? Just that of course has an effect on how they look at foreigners in their country, and it's just a shame. I'm looking at a business visa. Yeah, the business visa is fairly easy to get. One thing, holistic self, again, and this is stuff I would share in my membership. Um, but I'll share it here. It's not hearsay. The business taxes may be a little higher than you think. For some reason, the person who shared with me, they did the same thing. They did the business visa. It's very easy to get, but the monthly fees were higher than they thought and higher than they were told. You're looking at Tirana or Skoder to live. My daughter is in London. Want to explore the EU? Yes. Um, Easier having a base in the EU. Holistic self, Albania is not in the EU. The earliest acceptance, I believe, is 5 years. And there are people here who are saying they do not think it will be ready in 5 years. I can't say that. I think it could be. Um, on my way to Poker Deck, for example, and you can see I'm such a geek. I know I'm losing some of you because I've been going an hour and a half, but those of you who are really interested in Albania and stick around, thank you for sticking around. I saw more construction than I've ever seen in the United States in the trip between about more than half the way to Poker Deck, from Tirana. Incredible road construction. When I tell you they were widening, they were doing bypasses, like it went on for way more. I'm not just saying a little construction. It went on and on. Millions were being spent. So clearly the EU is putting money into Albania. So 5 years, though, is the earliest that people are saying it could be accepted. Melsky, yes. Okay, Melsky, you did your research. Good. See, isn't that interesting? Because I thought, oh, Viv, people aren't going to want to talk about climate change, and here you put that in your calculations. Yes, it's 10 degrees cooler. So what that tells me, though, is it's probably going to boom. Think about it, Melsky. Yeah, and Krista Isabella, because that's what I'm saying, right? The geopolitical shift. So even within a country, and everybody knows it's cooler, if I had a couple $1 million, I'd start building. I would probably do a consortium and I'd rehab houses in Poker Deck, because given that it is cooler, I know for a fact people are going to want to move there, right? So if I had lots of money, I would start building there. So it's, again, this isn't intuitive. This is just kind of rational sense. I think that it's going to become a busier town. It's going to grow in size. So, yeah, interesting. So, yeah, thanks for having this conversation with me. The climate in Pogo Deck appears to be cooler. Yes, it is. It's 10 degrees cooler. Like on the ground, that's what I've seen. Tirana can get blazing hot. So, I think when Tirana hits maybe 100 something, it might be more than 10 degrees. But since I've been in Albania, I've seen a 10-degree difference. Um, Typically, it's definitely cooler. It's definitely cooler. Darina Fox, Darina, what I would do? That's a great question. I don't so I'll give one place. What I think you should, oops, did I drop out? Hey. So Darina, one thing I'll share with that is so did you watch my Tarina, did you watch my scooter video? Oh my goodness. I am scolding her because she's a channel member, and I'm like, oh, I would love to see you at our sessions, which I hold for the channel members. That is the perk. Um, and then I'm assuming that the channel members, they probably see most of the videos. I did a video on Skoder and I did mention the place, but now I'm blocking the name. There's a cafe called, oh God, it's a cafe. I'm blocking the name. It's in the video. I literally am blocking the name. Let me put the link to it. Okay. This is just a Scooter video, and maybe it's not clear it was about Scooter, but I'll go back a ways. Let me see if I can find it to share with you. What I would do though, any of you coming to Albania, approach, I know this sounds weird, but it works for me. Here it is. Is Shkoder, Albania worth moving to? My honest assessment. I think that's the title. I may have been testing different titles, so let me say, I'm going to share this. This is Watch it. It's 15 minutes, and I do share this cafe whose name, I'm so sorry, I'm blocking it. I'm sitting under a sign by the cafe. This is where a lot of the expats hang out. But a tip for any of you going to Albania specifically, I've never had a problem getting into the expat circles. I literally, I don't know if it's because I'm African American, so clearly I stand out as, Albanians, maybe they think, is she from Africa or is she American? But other Americans typically know I'm American, and I always end up meeting whoever runs the expat WhatsApp group. So let me take a step back. First of all, Dorina, what you want to do immediately is join like Expats in Skoder. It's a Facebook group. I believe it's expat, Google it. And from there, you'll get put into you can get in touch with and start to meet the locals, and then you'll get notified when. But what most groups do, and so I'm not doing this out publicly, and I'm not the leader of any of the groups. You join a Facebook group. You have to. How are you going to? That's the first thing you do. And then typically, once you're on the ground in the country, so once you're on the ground in Albania, whether it's Tirana or Pogradec, you go to like one of the meetups, but you join the Facebook group so you know when the meetup is, and then there might be a WhatsApp group, okay? So you'll get in the WhatsApp group. So that is the process. I'll repeat it again. Join the Facebook groups for the town you're moving to. You'll see when the meetup is. Go to the meetup, or even just meet one person from there, and you'll get in the WhatsApp group, and then you suddenly have a circle of people, and then you figure out, go to some group things, see who you want to hang out with, make friends. You're not going to be friends with everybody, right? So that's the thing. So yeah, that God, is it called Stars Whiz? Yeah, watch the video on Schroeder. The last one I just put in here. This last one, it has a PQ in it. I can't remember the name of it, but a lot of the expats. But join the Facebook group and you'll immediately know, um, you know, you'll immediately know. So yeah, as I said, I'm thinking about it. thinking about it. Yeah, well, get the cash thing, but that means you're gonna be going to ATMs a lot, so I believe me, it could add up to a lot a month unless you get with a bank who is not gonna charge you the ATM fees, because the Albanian banks are charging them. So as I said, Charles Schwab Melski will literally return the fees, which is huge, huge amount of money you're gonna save. Yeah, okay, good, good, you're working on it now, yeah. Um, like I said, I think Fidelity, Schwab, and maybe one other, get a checking account. Oh, okay. See, that's why I wanted to talk with you at our chat, Krista Isabella. Yeah, it's more crowded than I expected. Exactly. Thank you. Listen, it's not just you saying that. It the videos about Skoder, again, this is for those of you who are, a lot of you want info about Albania. Skoder is more of a city than you'll see in a lot of the videos. So I talk about that in my video. I talk about why I'm not completely happy here, and that is literally the reason. Now, if you want to have coffee and sit around in a cafe and chill, cafe culture up the wazoo. Really, like great coffee, sit around, chat, go from cafe to cafe, have drinks here. Next morning, have your coffee or your macchiato, which is what I usually have your macchiato. But it's a city. Yeah, it's a city, Christosbel. Okay, so it didn't work for you. Like I said, I'm surprised you didn't reach out to me. I would have been fun to meet you, go out for coffee. So you were here in Shkodra. But maybe you're an introvert, and I'm an introvert too. So, having said that, probably would have hung out with you because I would have, known you were a little bit from here. But yeah, so I'm glad that Pogradak and Krista Isabella may, if you're up for an interview, but probably further down the line once you're settled. Oh, wow, Melsky, yay, my type of girl. Absolutely, absolutely. Like, I wouldn't be friends with other introverts and like neurodivergent people. I want to be friend, not that you are, but I'm just saying, one of my, and I hope they're a friend. But this is so cute. I don't think they'll mind. I won't say their name, but we hung out. We had a great time. They're quiet, mellow. I didn't feel stressed. I don't think they felt stressed. And I said, so great to hang out with you. I'll just say they. Then they like, oh, great to hang out with you too, Viv. And I met them in person. I like to just meet a person in person, not so much online and then in person, because I think sometimes that can be problematic because you don't know if you really vibe. While if I meet somebody just randomly in person, I can tell their energy. So Melsky, the person, they texted me back. They go, "Yeah, it was great to hang out with you. Really enjoyed it." They said, "But I can't hang out tomorrow." And I hadn't asked yet. It was funny, but they go, I really just need to like chill and isolate because my brain is like overstimulated. Um, so they're like, I'm just gonna isolate tomorrow and rest. And I was like, I totally get it. I totally get it. Now, mind you, I was only in town for a short time, but I respect that. So yeah, yeah, my type of person, like just a little bit, and then a little social contact, and then you can pull back. So the Mojave Desert, that is fabulous. I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, oh, like I said, maybe I didn't say this. Two different women in the town, and it might have been three, but two that I can remember now, from very different backgrounds, ethnicities, and ages. Very different. Two very different women who do not know each other. Both reported one, and I've talked about this person on my channel. There are videos about it where we talk about it. Um, they were just getting harassed a lot by men. They were just getting harassed a lot. And then another woman just told me, she hadn't told me this, but in a conversation it came up, and she also, it wasn't happening as frequently, but these are both solo women, so they weren't seen to be walking around with boyfriends or a husband, and both of them clearly, as I said, very different ethnicity, age, appearance, completely different in how they would dress, everything. Um, but both the older woman, it happened less frequently to her, but she really felt a sense that she was viewed, her words, viewed as a sex worker because she was not Albanian and she was alone. They could not understand these men, these specific men I'm talking about, um, that would approach her. They just couldn't understand a woman solo, traveling around or being independent on their own. Okay, that is so solo traveler. That um, is the main reason. And I'll say more in another video, but I am still a solo traveler. I don't know if you know, I was attacked by a dog. Do you guys know this? Do you all, Melski, you know, I was attacked by a dog here in Albania. The wild dog situation, I'm not the only one. Many people, what you guys have to remember, and thank you for staying with me. And like I said, I hope this helps someone. What you have to understand is people who might leave Albania or any country, they don't all have YouTube channels, so they're gonna leave quietly. They don't necessarily publicize why they leave. But there are YouTubers that I respect who absolutely live in Albania, who it works for them, but they feel they have to give you the honest picture, and I try to too. And one of the things, like I said, is the dog situation, the stray dogs. If you're very sensitive to that, if you love animals, it might be a deal breaker for you in certain towns. In certain towns. Now, again, as they join the EU, that is going to change because the EU is, I think, like, I don't know the exact law on animal care and humane, but I'm 99% sure there are benchmarks, and one of them will be something like the strays, like how they're dealt with. So that's part of the reason, solo traveler too, is the stray animals upset me seeing them. I've seen some that were in a horrible condition, open wounds on their bodies, and then being attacked by a dog. I'm surprised it would have low humidity since it's a lake, but I think it's the height, right? It's relatively high. Solo Traveler says, according to Google, some seasonal variation, monthly snowfall, born in the Caribbean, raised in South Florida. Not sure I'd be able to cope. Yeah, well, listen, I grew up in the Northeast, Solo Traveler, so I did watch a video, and that's why I'm telling you guys, keep doing your research. Like Deck is absolutely might be for you, but it showed snow like New York City level snow, 4 inches. I lived in Syracuse. Do any of you know the snow that Syracuse used to get? It may still. Syracuse snow is like 12 inches, 10 inches. The next day, 5 inches. So by the end of winter, at least how it was, by the end of you're just looking at snow because the snow is there, then there's more snow, then there's more snow. You're looking at snow. So I grew up with that. Not grew up with. I lived with that when I was teaching. So I think Poker Deck would be mild amount of snow. Yes. Yeah, I don't love humidity either. I really don't. Guys, we have all that. We have all that in common. Let's see. I'm just going to keep putting them up real quick. Yes, Milsky, that's what I said to do. I don't love AI, but listen, use it discreetly. Start with chat, but do not trust it 100%. Do your own research, but it can start you off. Yeah. Compare cities in Albania in terms of expense, weather, noise, or whatever. I think more than that, Melsky, I totally agree with you. Put what your parameters are. So I did not, and this is so funny, I did not, that's why I'm advocating it now. I'm pretty sure I didn't put in does Skoder like nature. And be clear on what you want. You know, do you want a lake? What I knew from all the YouTubers, they emphasize there are two beautiful rivers, you guys. I think one is the Buna and the other one, I can't remember the name, and they meet. I love when rivers meet. I think it has beautiful energy. And then there's a huge lake. What nobody mentioned is the access to that, strangely enough, is not easy. it's the videos made it seem like it was right in town, and it's my fault, and that's why I'm warning you, get a map, look at Google Maps. And even with that, it's hard because it part of it looks green in Skoder, but what I've seen, it's not easy to access, and I found, like, one spot that literally it shows like it goes up to the water, beautiful pictures, and then you know what people say? "Oh, it was flooded," and, "Oh, you can't actually access the lake." It looks on the map like it goes to the lake, right? It's some like it's not even a campground, it's just like this walkway, you can walk, but then so yeah. Yeah. So Schroeder is I would call it it's got a city vibe. It's very busy. There's lots of traffic. Um, and it feels pretty not tightly packed. That's not the right word. You have to check it for yourself. So like I said, if you are going to bicycle, Skoda could work for you. All these people, 80 years old, 60, 70, are on their bikes. So there's definitely a bike lane. So I just want to say that again. If you are interested in Skoda, Albania, it's a lovely small city or large town. I would say you need a bike to get around. And especially if you want to get to nature. Yes, there are buses. Someone told me, we didn't end up really connecting. I won't say more on that, but told me the local bus can take you like to just, I think, where the river starts. And I still haven't done that, you guys, because the bus here, I'm being honest, doesn't run very frequently to me compared to Vlora. In Vlora, I swear to God, the bus was every like 10 or 12 minutes. It was fast. You'd see one leave, you'd be like, oh, stand there a little bit, people arrive, bus would come. In Skoder, it feels I'm remembering, I've had other expats say to me, oh gosh, Viv, I'm sorry I'm running late. Um, and then they'd start walking and the bus goes by them. So somebody claims there's only two buses in Skoder, like literally two buses, not two lines, but that there are two buses. I don't know if that's true. So it's a wonderful town, but if you're thinking you can access nature like this lake and the river, you need a car or a bicycle. And then you can if you are an avid biker. All right. So I'm disappointed because I didn't get that right. And I talk about that in my video. I did not get that right. Oh, you're still, oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Yeah. I apologize. I'm not remembering that. You're still having an issue with Zoom. Do you need to either upgrade your Zoom, Krista Isabella, or also maybe sign in? It's weird. I think you do have to be signed in because another lady had an issue with 1 week with getting in, and then she said it was something about she wasn't signed into Zoom. Maybe I'll adjust that to make sure that's not a problem. But just update your Zoom. So you had left before I arrived. Okay, because I thought we overlapped. But thank you for clarifying that, my dear. No, the poker dog, the dog attack wasn't in poker deck, but you guys, and again, because this was something I wanted to talk about. Listen, I used to have a slight fear only of pit bulls, you guys. Because I have some close friends in the US, they have and this is also what makes it to me a little tough. It's not a pit bull they had as a baby. It's a pit bull that was gotten from the pound, right? So you don't know what happened to that pit bull. So I've always had a little bit of a fear of pit bulls only. Other than that, dogs have no problem. So the dog attack happened not in Poker Deck. It happened here in Skoder. And I talk about what I think was the cause. And again, this is what helps. This is why I love that women, we talk, we share, especially we do. Um, the woman who left Albania, who now lives in France, and she had never told me this. I talked to her after the dog attack, and she said, "Viv, that happened to me." And I'm like, "But you had told me sooner," because that's how I'm like. And it happened in the same way. She was carrying food, and I think she meant hot food, right? Obviously, not a bag of apples. I don't think a dog's going to attack you over apples. Guys, what I was carrying was the barek, which is their spinach and cheese, like a savory thing. It usually it looks like you took, well, how do you describe it? It's like a spiral. It's literally like rolled up and then they spiral it often. So I was carrying that, you guys, and my friend who loves dogs told me dogs have an incredible sense of smell. I don't know all that. I'm a cat person. So I'm walking you guys through kind of an alley, but to my defense, it was not an alley. This is important for you to know about Albania as well. I was so proud of myself, guys, because I was like, I like to get off the beaten path, like, don't be afraid, whatever. This literally was a road that, again, this is typical in Albania. It kind of becomes an alley, then it becomes a road. I know that sounds weird. One car can fit. It's not marked as a road, guys. You're just walking down it. And you don't know if it's a road or what. But I saw other Albanians, locals on their bike and by car. So I'm walking there. I'm not randomly in a dark alley, and out of nowhere this dog started to bark and come at me. It wasn't just barking behind the fence. I'm not one of those lying YouTubers. I would have just been like, okay, okay, and keep walking. The dog, no leash, no collar that I saw, medium-sized dog coming at me, barking aggressively and moving towards me. Um, I did what my instinct told me because I had not previously studied this. I made myself bigger and I just figured, you know what? If you're gonna be the top dog, I'm gonna be the bigger dog. So I put my arms up and I started shouting and I deepened my voice and I was like, no, no. And I swung my bag at it, you guys. All that's cool, right? I got away. When I come home, there was a bite this big. I'm not lying to you. The dog took a bite this big out of the bag. I didn't realize that because, like I said, I swung it, and the force of the swing, right, held onto the bag, and then I stayed facing it for a little bit because I was scared, but I was like, I have to move back, and I did turn my back, which apparently is not a good idea. But I just walked and it was still barking, still walking after me. It was horrifying. Another dog joined in. At that point, I was like, if two dogs attack me, I'm done. Okay. So this is something that has happened in Albania to me. Um, it fell back after I took maybe another 5 steps. And then a girl came by on a bike. She didn't quite seem to know what was going on. And again, I was already walking away. I have not walked through that area. It's a shortcut. I have not gone there again because I'm like, why am I going to do that with this crazy ass dog? But like I said, my friend, she said she was also carrying food when she was in Albania, and that's when the dog attacked her. And so I said, well, what did you do? She said, I stopped carrying food down, like in a bag. I don't know if she put it over her shoulder. She didn't tell me, but the bag was hanging down where it's like nose level with the doggy, right? And it probably was hungry. Guys, when a dog attacks you, you don't automatically think, because my friend's like, well, last resort, you could have thrown the food. And I'm like, you don't think like that. Your first thing, because it's physically coming at your body, right? Your innards. Your first thing is to keep it far away from you. So I didn't think, oh, let me just reach into this bag or let me just throw the bag. No, the bag was my defense, right? Anyway, it was really upsetting, and you can tell from me telling it because now I'm all upset again. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you guys, it gets worse. My Again, I'm not going to say their name. My landlady 3 days later, and I had not told her about the dog attack because I was like, I'm not, she's Albanian. I'm not going to tell her. I don't know what she'd say. The same thing happened to her. She literally texted me she had to go to the hospital. Okay, I'm not making this up. She had to go to the hospital. And that was her first text, and I was like, "Well, what happened? I hope you're okay." Um, she's like, "A dog, like I had to run away from a dog. A dog attacked me." That's all I'm gonna say, why she had to end up going to the hospital. But then I was like, "Really? This is someone who grew up and knows the neighborhood and all of that." So I don't know if it was the same dog. I then heard a fourth anecdote, right? So we've got me, the friend, the landlady, a fourth. I went into the expat group. I asked about this, and one person said, actually, two people said something, but the first person to respond said yes. A woman, an expat, before I arrived in the town, had to go to the emergency room because she was actually bitten by a dog. So, guys, that's a big thing for me in terms of Albania. It just shook me up. Um, I'm here. Oh, today I was going to literally show you today going out to put my garbage because it's back in the same area that I saw the dog. The dog was much further. Girl's not taking any chances. I put a glass bottle that was filled with something in a plastic bag and I had that with me. Okay? That's how serious I am. All right? Melski, girl, you're going to end up with cats. I'm telling you. You're going to end up with cats or you're going to start a cat sanctuary. Listen, watch my video on Skoder. There is a cat cafe. The woman and her partner, they're lovely people. They're not paying me to say this. I went into that cat cafe. She had like 40 cats, Melski, like 40. And she has another property. They just started a property. Please donate to them. I'm completely serious because I saw it with my own eyes. She had, so the cats are in, they're in their cages. They're kittens. They're this tiny little tail. Oh my God. Oh my God. They need to be socialized. So she's paying for all of this for these cats. She only does cats. So there are stray cats, Melski. You're going to end up with a lot of cats. Just forget about it. I'm telling you. If you are a cat lady, you're going to end up with like 3 cats. Because if people know, oh, she'll take the cats, they're going to bring the cats to you. I lived in Syracuse. I was a property manager in charge of having the snow cleared. Crazy, 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 crazy. Hey, Michelle's. You may want to go back. Thank you guys. Like I said, I'm just sharing my truth. The Albanian people I find are very nice. But as I said to you, if you are African American or I don't know, I can't speak as Asian. I would say if you're like Indian, maybe like medium brown or darker Indian, or certainly African or African American, they will definitely look at you. You will definitely get looks. The Albanians in general, they do look at people. Again, I'm giving you the full thing. Some people won't go into it, like I don't know if Patrick talks about it. Maybe he doesn't get looks, who knows? Um, but in general, expats have said they will look at you because everybody's sitting at a cafe, guys. So they're sitting, they're sipping, and it is mostly the men. I'm not sure why. I'm still waiting for an Albanian to tell me why cafes are 90% men. 90%. They're sipping, they're going to watch you. So if you are, there are not many people of African descent. So they will definitely be like, oh, and sometimes the older people, it's really funny. Sometimes they'll really, really be like, oh wow, it's like spotting a zebra or something. It's kind of funny. But if you are a very shy person, and maybe if that's going to make you uncomfortable, I've absolutely not a single time gotten any racial hatred, not a single time. So kudos to Albania for that. Literally, not a single that I can remember. Am I forgetting anything, guys? Oh, other than if they think that you're a sex worker. But I have the great privilege, which I'm more and more liking, okay? All the Albanian women, I'm literally gonna say all, unless they're 90, they dye their hair mostly jet black. There's a very specific aesthetic. And so unless she's, like I said, 90 and has a handkerchief on her head. So I think having the gray hair has protected me, you guys, but they're really in the smaller towns, especially. But actually, I take that back. There was a Black woman in either Durrës or Albania. It just got to be too much for her. She left the country. Felt she was constantly being like, that was happening to her a lot. So not directly racial, but they just assumed She was a sex worker. Now, as I said, a friend who is not African American also had that happening to her, but I think it's a matter of degrees. Again, you're a sophisticated audience. You can follow it. It's different for different people, right? Um, it seems to vary by town. A smaller town, you're definitely going to get more looks. If you look different, then you're clearly not Albanian, which I think could work to my favor, guys. This is how I'm thinking it's working. Well, one, like I said, I have the silver, thank God, unless they think I'm a really aging beautifully, mind you, sex worker. But I'm like, I try to like, also, I've noticed the Albanian women do not come and tell me it's about how they're dressed conservatively. They are not. There are women absolutely who are Muslim and wearing a full like burqa. Absolutely. There may be 3%. The other women are dressed like women around the world in any city. It's not like they're not all covered up. Believe me, it's almost like a Kim Kardashian kind of beauty. So specifically, it's foreign women get that. I think in the bigger cities, it's less of an issue. But as I said, this woman who I want to say was at least in her 30s, I think, I'm judging from the friend who told me, I don't think she was a young person, but she was constantly getting men like very aggressively coming on to her, and not for dating, but like, this is what I want. I'm just sharing this because, as I said, I don't think the men talk about this because they don't know. All the men that I see in Albania are with their wives. And obviously, if they're a single man, how are they going to know that? They just don't know. Okay. But it depends. Living on that lane, TNK, great question. I think what it is, what I've observed, because I'm a curious person. The different dogs have different territories, right? Think about some of the things we say about dogs, like the top dog, or it's dog eat dog world. Listen, as an American, I mean, I came from Jamaica, right? I was a young child though when I came, and we kept dogs. We kept them outside, much like Albania. If you own a home, you might have a dog. The dog is outside. But I'm talking about feral dogs, street dogs. So typically they seem to have a territory. And so I think sometimes two dogs can, you'll get a dog fight because you're in my territory. So my friend who was really, really smart, she goes, I think, yeah, you crossed into that dog's territory. Okay. But think about how are you going to know that dog's territory, right? I crossed into because another dog I walked by, no problem. No problem. That same dog, once the other dog got agitated, also started barking. But again, my back was turned by that point. So I don't know if they were barking at each other, which could have been. It could have been then a territorial, or were they literally ganging up on me? Because that's the horror of what I was like, okay, this is happening behind me. I'm not looking back. Your girl is not looking back. She's walking head up, head high, and she's striding away from the dogs. Um, so they have territory. They often in the hot, again, for those of you who love dogs, I've noticed they hide under cars when it's really hot. So again, you can see why I couldn't necessarily see the dog. I'm telling you, this dog came out of nowhere because I had walked by there to get the barek, right, to buy the food. And then coming back, this new dog out of nowhere appeared. So yeah. Oh, I'm muted. Oh, shoot. I don't think I'm muted. I don't think I'm muted. My little yeah. Okay, I'm gonna mute myself now. Yeah, I'm not muted. So yeah, they that's where they live. That's where they live. Okay, I want to go back. Solo Traveler says street dogs in the Caribbean, right? And so yeah, I absolutely know this happens in other countries. I know in Southeast Asia, well, there's even dog meat. That's a thing. S- Yeah, I won't a story about Asia. It's not necessary. I won't share it here. Um, It depends. It really depends. If you stay only on the heavily touristed streets, like I said, Solo, and I felt proud of myself because I'm like, I'm living here. I took not a main street, I took a side street, but as I said, the side streets in Albania can be they're not clear. I can't even describe it to you. It's almost like you're like, "Oop," and then, "Oop," and then, "Oop," and you're not sure if it's a dead end. It might lead to somebody's house, and you're like, "Ooh, I gotta backtrack and go." It's not clear. It's not like, "Oh, this is a road because 'cause it's got lines on it." It's just these walkways of various widths, and then suddenly I'll see a street name, so I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is actually a street," or a car comes behind me, and I'm like, "This is a street." So, it depends on the town. I think if you stay in the heavily touristed streets, the main streets, that you'll see a stray dog, but it'll be fine. The woman who got bitten, I don't know where she was when she got bitten. I don't know where my landlord was when she got bitten, so yeah, yeah. Hey, hey, Emerald Lily. I know who this is. Hey there. Oh, absolutely. You're okay, you're Indo-Caribbean, and well, that is known that China well, many, Black people have said, I don't won't even say people of color, have said they felt really awkward in China. Oh, they're absolutely curious, absolutely. Like I said, I have so no one has treated me badly at all. So like I said, this is amazing. Kudos to Albanians. What I will say I love about the people, and I'm not sure how to say this. I feel like I cut them some slack. Um, there are some people, like I said, who hated Albania and left. I give them slack because apparently the level of communism and the level of closeness that they were living with and surveillance was so intense. So it's like there you can still see them opening to the world. You know, of course, you see the young people in the protests and stuff, and they seem very worldly. But what I see with my eyes as somebody who really tries to tune into people, I see a lot of people who, you know, had their own little farm. My video, you guys, where I love this. That's why I captured it. I was really scared because I didn't want to get anybody in trouble. But it's in my video about Shkoder. I got up really early one morning and these no, four horses, you guys, those who haven't seen it, four horses just go walking by down the street. Nope, no person, just the horses. They were going to breakfast. I am not lying because I later saw them in the park eating grass. I was like, okay, you were on your way to breakfast. I was having a coffee. I understand. And then after they had the grass, they headed down and somebody kind of shooed them a little bit. They headed back down the street, which is where I had seen them a month before. I think they kind of lived down away from the tourist area. They lived down. So you know, I think the people like today, this woman actually she touched me, which I don't really like when strangers touch me, but she was trying to communicate with me about fruits. I was way in a local area, like way, way. There were some stray dogs. I did get scared. I did get scared. Okay, not to harp on that. But again, I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't see a lot of them where I am. But then I went into a more local area and these two stray dogs, and one was barking and they were moving towards me. And I actually asked the guy something, and he's like, "Oh, you're scared of the dogs?" It's like, he was a big dude. He was unloading stuff, oblivious, right? And again, clearly these dogs live in this area. But that nervousness that it's given me around the dogs, but the people are kind. What I started to say about the woman who touched me and she kept saying, "Super, super." Um, they're trying to say, I think that the vegetables or the fruit is like the best, you know. So that's where the thumbs up came in because I knew nothing of what she was really saying and she didn't speak any English. And I had a bag of cherries, so I was like, already have. She was trying to get me to like get some of her fruit. So the older Albanians, once you interact with them, very kind of kind, down to earth people, like people of the earth. Um, the younger people, more, I definitely feel they're a little more cool. I'm not sure what that's about. And what I started to say, and again, this is important for the women watching me, and I didn't finish the thought before with what I was saying with the Albanian women, and I started to say it. They do not smile. They do not smile. So I think American and Canadian, we smile more as women, and that also makes us stand out. and makes us seem approachable. So the random creepy guy who just wants to come up with you and says, I want to blank with you. Um, we're smiley, we're more open. The Albanian women, like I said, are dead serious. It's a very there's like they could be dressed up, very flashy, but their face is like, and I noticed they don't make eye contact with the men. So that's what I've noticed. Okay. It's subtle. I don't think Patrick would notice this, but as a woman, I notice this stuff going on about how they're relating. And also they often stay in their genders, meaning you'll see the girls with the girls. Okay. The younger generation I'm talking about, you'll see the girls with the girls the vast majority of the time, and the boys are with boys. You don't see as much. I'm not saying never. I have seen a few couples, but it was so unusual. I saw a couple holding hands. I literally was like, well, like, wait, why does this look weird to me? And that's why it is unusual. It's more family groups. Okay, so this is different than America. It's family groups, you'll see the whole family, or it's a bunch of girls with their girlfriends, or it's a bunch of boys with their guy friends. So the gender is still very distinct, very distinct. Dogs can have gangs, yes. Exactly, and Tank 2015, I didn't know that. Listen, I grew up in New York, but listen, if you're a street dog and you can survive in New York, you deserve to survive. Honestly. So my friend who is a dog expert has lived with like 10 dogs. Like she's, and cats, and she's the one who she scared me because she's like that's why when both dogs started barking at me or in my vicinity, I was, like, really freaked out because she said they can gang up. It's it's, um, it's like gang behavior. I then went and watched, like, 10 YouTube videos, and they said, if a gang of dogs attacks you, take down the bigger dog, like, take down the leader. It may not be even be the bigger dog. Whatever dog seems to be the leader, you need to scare that dog, and the others will run away. So yeah, especially at night. Exactly. And in Albania, the garbage is open. What do I mean by that? There are huge bins, but they do not close the lids. So you put garbage in and it is and I'm not saying I've never seen an overflowing garbage bin in other countries, but there are no lids that I've seen. So the garbage is out and it's kitchen garbage. So yeah, the horses that I saw, guys, were eating out of a big garbage bin when I first saw them. Because, like I said, I noticed stuff. I mean, who doesn't notice a bunch of horses in the street? When I first noticed these like wild horses, they were eating out of a tall, I'm indicating like maybe 5 foot high. I mean, they're horses, so they were in there. I was like, oh wow, they're eating the garbage. And then, like I said, now 2 months later, I saw these horses walking down. So it's like they have a routine. So yeah. Yep, yep, yep. I've given you the full rundown. So again, if you're sensitive, very sensitive about dogs and cats, it may bother you. It may not be enough to bother you. You have to come and see. I love dogs and cats. When more settled, I would like to volunteer. Exactly. Yeah, do some volunteer work. That's what a lot of the Americans are doing. That's a great way to make friends, right? They volunteer at the center, or they do something like they catch the stray animal and bring it to the vet. Guys, I'm not doing all of that. The wonderful woman I told you to donate to her in Shkoder, if you look up like Cat Cafe, you'll find her website. She told me when I saw this really sad looking dog, she's like, okay, go to the vet if you want to. She wasn't trying to push me, but she's like, go to the vet, get some particular thing, put the food in like a hot dog and give it to the dog. And I'm like, this after being attacked by the dog, I wasn't gonna try to give food. I just was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Just for money wise, but also I just don't feel comfortable. It was something, maybe it was like not flea, it was some sort of medication she thought might help the dog. But she also confessed to me, she goes, Viv, the way you describe how that dog looked, I don't see them coming out to help it. Like she thought it sounded um like beyond the point that they would want to help. Anyway, that's all I can talk about on it because it's depressing. I bring food with me for the little furry ones. That might be good. Some people swear by that. That might be good. They were both ages, solo traveler. A lot of older men. The friend who was younger is in her 30s. It was old men, absolutely old men, as well as young men. One man showed her a pornographic image on his phone. Okay. He kept trying to talk to her when she would not respond, which I'm like, if somebody's a sex worker, gosh, just think for a second. They're gonna respond to you. You're not gonna have to like work really hard to get their attention. He then went on his phone. She's sitting on a bench with her animal there. He showed her a pornographic image of a black woman, or at least a dark-skinned woman. I mean, she immediately got up, right? Um, and showed it to her. And that was a very old man. She said it was an old man. It as well, it was happening with younger men. Oh, weren't the horses? Thank you. The horses were beautiful. I do think, like I keep saying, I think there's a dead farmer somewhere because one of them has the bridle, the thing that goes through the mouth, and it's hanging down. I Unless, I mean, it seems to me if their owner were still taking care of them, the bridle would either be up on its back or maybe that's how it gets the main one. I don't know, guys. They seem to be pretty much on their own and in their own like little camp. Yeah, in their own little camp. I know. I'm having coffee, you guys, because I never get up that early, and I'm like, what? What? Oh, let me get, and then I'm like, okay, get my phone. Wait, okay, you know, to capture it. It was so funny. Okay, thank you. I'm Albanian American, and in Black countries, I'm stared at, hustled, even people touching my hair. I think it's curiosity, except for hustling and begging. Yes, 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 right. The hustling and begging is the hustling and begging. So yeah, it can absolutely work in reverse. I mean, I've heard um, if you're in a place where literally it was someplace in Africa and the child, I had never seen anybody Caucasian, and she literally was scared because she's like, this is a ghost of some sort. Like she was like trying to hide and freaked out. So absolutely the same way in China for I think also, yeah, if you don't look Chinese, you're gonna get looks. Apparently, though, it is even more if you're Black because it's even rarer. So it is about rarity. Yes, it is about rarity, absolutely. And curiosity. Yeah. But I love that the older Albanians, they'll just literally be like, oh, and then as you're walking, they're like follow you. Because some cultures are like, okay, we don't stare at people, but I find in Albania, Tank, have you been back to Albania? I find that they will really look at you. Not all. Some people are just like, whatever. What I love is actually the little kids are completely oblivious to me. It's like, I don't know if it's social media. They're just like, go by. They're just like, what, a few actually having said that at the same time, or they'll be very positive. In Vlora, I would get school kids try to talk to me because they clearly, okay, she's not Albanian. Maybe she's American. Okay, let's try our English. And I've heard that from others. So yeah, I don't take it negatively. It just if you're very sensitive, it might make you feel uncomfortable. Because yeah, we're not used to probably in Canada and the US people like staring because it's just not as common a thing unless the person is in some way like dressed in some outfit or something, right? So yeah. Yes, staying with the genders, yeah. So even though, as I said, the girls are not, because somebody was trying to tell my friend, oh, you're just not dressed conservatively. It's not that. Um, because it's they're dressed like young people in any part of the world. There's midriff bearing, it's body skimming. Um, but like I said, I noticed the girls do not look at the guys. They don't seem to interact with them very much unless it's like a friend already. And you could tell it's like a family friend. There'll be an interaction, but yeah, they separate by gender. So it'd be interesting to see how that changes. Ah, okay, so you are a female, it sounds like. There's zero excuse for harassment, but I will say women smiley and outgoing is a bit taboo. Now, see, exactly. Well, the Americans, we don't know this. And that's why, I mean, I'm sharing even here. There are American women and Canadian women. The woman who shared with me that she thought that was part of it was Canadian. She naturally smiles. There are some cultures, right? Like maybe Brazil, for example, TNK. There are cultures where people are more smiley, so it's really hard to like fix your face, right? Because I also tend to be smiley because it's typically seen in the countries we're from is seen as being more as less threatening. So smiling is a way to say I am friendly, but then it's getting a different reaction. So yes, just by observation, I've definitely seen, okay, the women do not smile here. Right? But that's hard to train yourself out of it, absolutely. Yeah, so that's interesting. You said my parents were adamant about how I carried myself. So something is happening in the Albanian home where they are trained about that. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Yes, absolutely, Emerald Lily, yeah. Somebody else was just saying the same thing. So that's how we see it, but like I said, the girls are dressed very pretty skimpy. So that's why it's confusing to me because, going back to what Tank said, TNK said about, okay, how carried myself, but the clothing is very, like, Western, very Kardashian-y is how I would describe it. Very kind of glamorous, very, you know, so it's interesting to see how the culture is, how it presents itself. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, UAE. I've been to the UAE quite a bit, and this is what I noticed. Yes, the genders. Yeah, I would expect that in the UAE. Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, I've seen like like literally twice a boy and a girl on like those standing scooters. Clearly, it was either brother sister or they were dating. Like there's some close, but it's not common. It's not common. So that's interesting as an American because it's the first, it jumped out at me like, oh, yeah, the smiling thing is going to be a problem for me because I have resting happy face. Yeah, well, I mean, you really don't want to. It's seen, and I knew this about other cultures. It can be seen as an invitation, apparently, smiling. Like I'm saying, though, there are cultures where people do naturally smile, and it means nothing except I am being friendly and warm. So that's something that, is different. Oh, it's a culture thing. Yeah. It's funny you say it's rare to be religious in Albania. Yeah. Because so many Americans are like, oh, it's a Muslim country. It's a Muslim country. Will mention you will hear, except in Vlora, I did not hear the call to prayer. Um, Which sounds strange. I know there must be moss in Vlora. It may be because of the way it is, the beachfront, you guys. Um, it did, and maybe where I was situated, but you do definitely hear the call to prayer 5 times a day. So I know some people that may be a problem for them. I don't know. Yeah, I was going to share one more thing, but it's about religion, so I'm not going to go there. Oh my word, I'm so sorry that happened to those women. This with the dog attracts are two major cons for me. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, they're very different women. One is a white female, middle-aged. One is a black female, 30 something. I know them both. They dress differently. Their energy is very different. They're from different countries, and they both had this experience of this harassment to different degrees. And as I said, I've heard like people who know people who it also happened to them a lot. And then for some women, it doesn't happen, it seems like, or maybe they don't talk about it. Like I said, because of my gray hair, I think that's what it is. I don't get that. I'd love to really know what it is. I mean, I think I'm cute. I don't want to be approached though. And as I said, not like that, not, like as a sex worker. That's how you're approached. It's not like, oh, hey, it's not flirty, guys, because I want to be clear. It's not just someone coming up and just trying to like talk to you in like a normal, natural way where you'd be like, oh, hey, yeah, I'm visiting. I'm from Canada, or oh, I'm British. It's not like that when these women are complaining. So the women in full burqa could be Afghans as the country took many in after the US left. Okay. Yes, there's definitely the full burqa. See, and that's why it's good to have somebody Albanian in here. You're Albanian American, but there's a lot of stuff we don't know. I go to this shop and I was just, they just seemed like a very sweet family. But the women were in full burqa, absolutely full burqa. I mean, all you saw was her little face, like, like completely. And it was lovely because she was asking me, and so sweet, had a very sweet energy. Um, the store was run by her family, and she basically was curious where I was from. She was curious because she says to me, so I told her American, and she says, because not just tourists, because she goes, they keep coming back. It's like, she expressed that, like, if it was tourists, I'd see them once, but she goes, "Yeah, I keep seeing these people." I says, "Yeah, yeah, you'll see me again too." So I explained to her about the 1-year visa, free, and she was just very, like, very thoughtful and, and like, "Oh, that explains why I've been seeing people coming over and over, they're not Albanian." I'm like, "Yeah, we can stay for a year, without too many problems, visa free." So I didn't realize that. So they might be from Afghanistan. Okay. I feel like this family though, actually, and I don't know TNK, seemed very established. So yeah, depending the year, maybe they were able to, the whole family obviously works together. The whole family was in the shop. So maybe, because I was going to say, I feel like if they were like refugees, maybe they wouldn't have been established enough to have a shop. But maybe it was years ago that they came. Yeah, it's fascinating. It really is fascinating. So you will see women in full burqa. Happy smiley face. Exactly. Thank you guys. Right. And I mean, in some cultures, women are actually trained the opposite, like smile a lot, be friendly. So like I said, that is very hard. If you know you're a super friendly, warm person and you smile a lot as a woman, that may be difficult in Albania, especially in a smaller town. In a bigger city, they're used to so many Westerners. I think the whole vibe is different. That's why I keep saying Tirana and Vlora. They're a little more sophisticated in terms of how foreigners may appear. She's smiling. It doesn't mean that she's actually a sex worker. She's just some American lady who smiles all the time. I thank you, solo traveler. Again, it's stuff that a lot of the men or the couples, remember, if you're watching a couple who went to Albania, like I love these guys, JP and his wife, okay? JP and his, I don't know why I forget her name, because I think the channel names, and Amelia, JP and Amelia. They traveled to Tirana and they've been several times, but they're a couple, they're always together. And people do see you in the neighborhood with your husband. So yeah, I'm sure she goes out sometimes by herself. Again, they were in Tirana, they were in bigger cities. And so yeah, she may not have had that experience of being approached. Um, because people do see you, as we said, people watch you, so they know she is with a husband, and that they understand. She is with a man, so you know, she's not one of these loose Western women. Yes, thank you for that, TNK. Because really quick, what was happening the first time I did this interview with the young woman where this was happening all the time, people were like, "Well, you must be dressed." And these were Americans telling her, "You've got to be dressed." They didn't call her slutty, but they were like, "You're just not dressed appropriately." And we both were like, "We're telling you we're here. She's dressed." Like, it's because you are a foreigner, so there are different standards. So, yes, it's the eye contact and body language, yeah, and her body language is different, and that's what we try to convey to people, and it sounds weird, and they don't believe us, but her body language, she's, very much more she's giving just it's hard to explain, it's a softer energy. So exactly. See, here's somebody explaining it who understands the country, guys, confirming. So yeah, it's the eye contact and body language. So I now walk and I mean, I'll glance, I'll do the I call this in America, this is like the rich person glance. Tell me if you guys know it. They see you, but they don't look at you. They sort of like if you're right here, they'll do this. They don't they don't focus on you, but they've seen you, but they'll pretend they didn't see you. I think it's an upper class thing that I've noticed. It's like or as my dear, dear friend would say, it's a waiter thing, right? The waiter you're like and they're too busy, so they'll just be like they won't even blink. It'll just be like, "I didn't see you," but they saw you. So, yes, it's the eye contact and the body language. Yeah, it's not so much what you wear. Exactly. Thank you for that. Melsky says maybe I'll start wearing a mask again. Melsky, I like how you think. Then they're going to think that you have a disease. And apparently, I swear to God, I heard anecdotally that in Albania, the mask, yes, don't do that. I'm now thinking of another woman I spoke to who she got negative reactions when she wore a mask. I think they thought she was sick and and that somehow provoked a negative response. Anyway, you're probably joking, but just keep that in mind. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Just from the gray hair? TNK, you have to explain that. So is it because like I said, the Albanian women, even in their 50s, 60s, you don't see them like in the US or Canada or certainly Britain, you'll see some gray hair coming in. Um, and obviously some women dye their hair in these countries, but in Albania, again, the hair is jet black. A few people are doing blonde, but the aesthetic is jet black hair. You could be 70. If I see your hair, it's jet black. So is that why they think then that a teacher or scholar? I'm just really interested. That's interesting. I did get a very young man. I told this story. I was just tickled because I was walking really fast and I looked sort of like because I was trying to meet somebody and they weren't there. And I was like trying to ignore them. But this young guy, I happened to walk right by his table and he sort of like he kind of looked up and he goes, "Oh, hi." But he said it very awkwardly. So I looked at him like, "Hi." And I indicated that I was like startled, like, what? So then his friend, like, I think his friend actually smacked him, like pushed him, like, "You're so stupid." And we just all kind of laughed. See, to me, it felt wholesome because one, I'm older and I'm just like, "How old are you?" And he clearly was sort of like, I mean, he just said hi, but it was like in this sort of almost like goofy way, which is why his friends like, "He's just an idiot." So that was not a problem. That was not a problem. Oh gosh, I know, right? Melsky is cracking us up here. You guys, I am having so much fun. Oh my God, it's 2 hours, 42 minutes. Okay, I'm going to show all your comments. On paper, women have rights, but culturally not so much. Okay. I believe you on that. I do. I do see some men though with their babies, pushing their baby strollers. I think that's coming out of the communist era where it's like equality. I don't know. I do. These are men, I would say, in their 30s. It's very specific. It's not men in their 20s. So I don't know. Um, I have some thoughts, but yeah, I don't want to get into it here because what I'm hearing different people like what a lot of young Albanians are watching. I would love if the Albanians don't take the negatives of other cultures. And someone was sharing with me that they think that might be happening. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, solo traveler is right. We're grateful because you're confirming pretty much what if you have any tips on the stray dogs, feel free. Feel free. What should Viv do? Should Viv do like she did, put a glass bottle in a bag and have it? I had it around my wrist, you guys, and then I was holding it so that I could like swing it. I'm like, I'm like, fool me once. They couldn't get beauty products during communism, so they've gone overboard with it. Stop. It's funny you say that, actually, because I know you're joking, but like that's what I'm trying to convey. The Albanian women are done, you guys. Do not, if you go out, you can spot a Western woman like that. First of all, her hair color will be lighter, always, and then she'll be dressed more casual. These Albanian women are dressed up very, very rarely, and they'll stand out. I'll be like, oh, wow, look at her. Look at how casual she is. Well, you go, girl. Right. But if you see a casual woman in most Albanian towns, she's not Albanian. She's somebody else. She's most likely American. And this is not just me saying, somebody was talking about this in Italy. We're in like comfortable shoes. We're in like, we're just like about comfort. Okay, this is not the Albanian way. This is not the Albanian way. Well spoken and with your glasses. I know, but I'm not talking, Krista. I'm just walking down the street. That's what I'm saying. How would they know, teacher? Maybe I really do give that vibe off. I will lecture you to death if you mess with me. Which is true, actually. I would. Can you see me, you guys, like trying to like tell off an Albanian man in English? Like what am I what I don't speak Albanian, and then he'd probably speak English, and it would just be hilarious. But I believe you can convey things beyond language. So anyway, it is the one friend is staying, the one who has had this trouble. She still really loves the town she's in, so she's staying as of now. As of now. And the other woman left. And the other woman, the anecdotal, did not stay in Albania. She did not feel comfortable. She also left. So out of the three women that like I know or 1 degree separated, two left because of that particular issue. So yeah, but see, I didn't want the women to feel guilty or that they did anything. You guys, that's my problem with. I think I do listen, like I said, I'm a New Yorker. First of all, New Yorkers walk. Again, I'm being really honest, you guys. Any New Yorker, you ask them, New Yorkers walk like get out of my way. I have to stop. I'm behind an Albanian like couple, you guys, and I'm just like, I mean, not so obviously, but in my head, I'm like, oh boy. Okay, breathe, Viv. And they're just strolling. They're strolling. And I'm like, so when I first got to Albania, I'll be like, and I'll zip around them. Now I say, relax and breathe. Breathe. You do not have to rush anywhere. You are in Albania, and then I'll slow down. So yeah, I might be losing my toughness because I'm starting to slow down. TNK says men cook, are involved with the kids, but cleaning the house is a no. Okay. That is so funny. Listen, I'm from Jamaica, TNK, and I love to tell the story. It's a simple story. It conveys the level of ease my father had. The phone, this is when we had landlines, would be sitting next to him. He's on the sofa. The phone rings. My mother is in the kitchen sweating, cooking our meal, multiple dishes for me. I don't eat certain things. She's frying fish. She's making a stew. And my father shouts to her. She's in the kitchen, right? She's singing a hymn. She's singing Amazing Grace. I swear, I'm sending the picture for you. My dad is watching television and he says, Miss Williams, Miss Williams. I don't know why he called my mom by her last name, because in Jamaica, you don't ask these questions. And he'd say, I have to do it in the patois. The phone a ring. Yeah, I can't do it right. The phone a ring, meaning the phone's ringing. My mother would be like, oh, come from the kitchen, sometimes with a spoon in her hand, like she wants to smack him to pick up the phone. Right? So I love telling that story because the man could have just gotten up and answered the phone, but apparently that was the woman's job. So it's hilarious. It's just hilarious. Viv, is it possible that older women are stay at home and they're surprised to see you out and about with gray hair? I don't know what it is. Like I said, in the cafes, 95% are male, older men and younger men. So our question is always, where are the women? I have not asked an Albanian because I don't know if it's a sensitive question. Um, oh, actually, now that I say that, duh, you will see older women on their bike clearly getting their groceries. So every Albanian in Skoder and a bit in Tirana, but I'm trying to think of what other towns I saw it. They're on their bike. So the bikes are probably during the communist era too, right? You could have a bike. They're getting their daily groceries. You will see the vegetables coming out of the bag. So that's where I see the women are on the bike, also older men, but they're getting their veggies. So I think they're at home either doing childcare or cleaning. I'm not sure. With the older women, um, taking care of the grandkids, I see that a lot. I will see older women out with a baby carriage. I don't know. It's a very interesting. It's a very interesting. So yeah, maybe they just think, yeah, if you have gray hair, you're a scholar. I have no idea. I really don't know. Women go out, but for chores, not to hang out. Thank you. Okay. Isn't that so interesting? That's exactly what I've seen, TNK. So, like, I just corrected myself because I'm like, where are the women? You do see the women biking and clearly buying the food. And I'll see men, I think they're single men, old men. You might see some of them with their bags and they're on their bikes. So, yeah, the women are out and about doing chores, but yeah, sitting around in the cafe. Yeah. And then the nightly walk in Pogradec literally overwhelmed me. I'm not gonna lie. It was just too much for me, you guys, because it was like a crowd. They do this in Italy too. It was like a parade of people, not just a couple people and then another couple. I can't describe it. It was like back to back to back to back people in like three rows. Because there was the boardwalk, then there was the sidewalk, then there was, I think, still a street, and then I was at a cafe. Hordes of people around dinner time walking with their families. Like I said, the girls walking with the girls, boys walking with the boys, or a family group. And it was just too much crowding for me. And that was in Pogradec. So I don't know. I don't know. New Yorkers give thank you. New Yorkers give off the don't mess with me vibe. The thing is, I don't want to give off that vibe, but as I said, these women, and especially the Black women, where it's happening more, I think that I am grateful that I may give that off. Um, sadly, sadly, I do think I give off a serious vibe, even though I think of myself as very smiley. Um, I'm just thinking even of an interaction I had with a neighbor, with an older neighbor, and just respect. I think there is something about the gray hair. I do think there's respect. I do think there's respect. TNK says he lived in Jamaica for 3 years. That's funny. That's wonderful. Yeah, I can do just a little patois, but not like a full on because I've been out of Jamaica for so long. Yeah, but my dad's like, the phone I ring, Miss Williams. You know, we say, you know, hear it. You know, hear it means don't you hear it? You know, hear it. The woman is in there singing, cooking, and you're gonna call to her. She's busy as she's already cleaned the house because he didn't clean either. He did not clean. The women are at home cleaning the house. I know. The men are out having the coffee. Female student in Tirana hang out a little. Yes. Tirana, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're nailing it. Because again, I was in Tirana for 2 weeks. These are, so we're talking 21. These are the young people, and they're going to university because I stayed in the university section. Yes, that is very different. You're absolutely right. I can't cover every case, but you're right. There, I did see them out and about. There's a very more cosmopolitan. I'm trying to remember if I saw the groups as gender separate. I do just remember it was a busy area, and you definitely saw female students, and very, but also very like um, and yeah, I think I would see them more in the cafes. But yeah, I was in the university area. Wow, you definitely know the Albanians. If the house isn't clean, it's like you have bad character. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I know it's a sensitive question though, because why is there so much public litter, TNK? I'm trying to figure it out. And my guest, like I said, guys, watch out. I'm going to have a guest who Albania didn't work for her. And I was saying, I think the litter has to do something with communism. Again, I know it stopped, decades ago, but you're talking about a generation, and then the next generation is taught by that generation. My sense is that the Albanians keep their personal space very clean, like their yard, right? But the public spaces are littered, and I thought maybe it had something to do with communism. And I'm giving away a lot of the video, but this woman who I interviewed, she said no, because these other countries were communist as well, Viv. And she named like 5 countries. I'm like, okay. And she goes, and they're very much cleaner. There is not the litter that you see in Albania. So I said, I don't know what it is. Listen, I'm just an American woman. I am nosy, I am scholarly. I like to think about things. So if any Albanian sees this, why is there so much litter in the public spaces? I don't understand it. Like I said, I was trying to ascribe it to communism. Is it just poverty of the country versus a Romania or a Croatia or a Kosovo? Like what is it? Because they also had that history. So I don't know. I really don't know what it is. Wow. It was the same in the Caribbean when I was a young girl. The women go out to do chores, not to hang out. Exactly. And that's what I think for a lot of Westerners, that's going to hit you. So, all of you Western folks, when you come to Albania, you're going to see the older men, absolutely, which I get. I'm like, they're retired, but the older men, younger men, and you won't see very many women in the cafes. And so it's going to strike you if you are coming from America, Canada, because you'll just be like, why is the ratio so skewed? Um, so yeah, the women are working. Actually, I did ask a woman, like a waitress or something, who I knew a little bit, and I think they laughed and they said it's because the women are working. And I was like, huh, okay. Okay. Patrick mentioned between 7 p.m. and midnight, cars are not allowed on the beach side streets. Yes, right, right. It's not even the side street. This was the main street. It was the main street. Yeah, it wasn't the side streets. It was the street parallel to the lake. And so it's like people go out to be viewed because like I said, they're walking by, and if you're in the restaurant, you're facing looking out at them. So it's very interesting. It's really funny. Okay, Tink says, I don't think you need a don't mess with me vibe, just I'm not interested at all. Exactly. Exactly. And so, like I said, the two women that I know, one has a very warm energy, smiley, sweet. Um, and the other one also, I would say, more shy, but also she said to me, I smile, Viv. This was very hard for me in Albania to not smile after she realized that was part of like that was giving these energies. She's also smiley, but again, maybe in her late 50s and still, I think she was being hit on by more middle-aged and older men. The 30-something girl was being hit on by old men, middle-aged men, younger men. I'm laughing because it's just like there was no age. There was no limit. You must, yeah, clean house is very important. Yeah, it is. It is. I think that's important. You just woke up. Okay, Alexis, I'm going. I'm going. I'm literally hitting 3 hours. I have had so much fun with you guys because, like I said, I am an introvert. This is as much talking as I've done probably in days. I'm going to check the temperature. I may go for a walk. Now, you guys, I'm going to be worried that I'm going to smile too much because I'm going to think of what everything you guys were saying. So I'm going to be walking down the street smiling, which is a no-no. It's 6 o'clock here, so I think it's probably still too hot. So I think I will not go out yet. The litter is baffling to me. Yeah, it. My landlady didn't. She didn't quite say that, but she just sort of said, It is just it's a lack of education was the sense. She kind of made a more general statement, but it's a lot of trash. It's a lot of trash. I mean, I watch people, they'll get something and they'll just like drop it. See, in the US, sometimes we'll drop it, but we're almost like, we know we shouldn't. But I can tell it's different here. It's not viewed in the same way. So I really think it just needs to be education. As a creative person, I would see that the public schools just make part of the curriculum to talk about litter and respect for your country as an Albanian, and it's a proud nation, it's a beautiful nation. And you basically just train these kids, look, this is bad, don't litter, right? And just do that, and then at least you'll get the new generation. Um, so I think it's a public education issue. I definitely do. So yes. So let's see. You can smile all you want with women and children. Exactly. It is so funny. Thank you for saying that. Because I have a friend who, TNK, tell me if this is okay. I really need an Albanian's opinion. She went up to a policeman. I I'll tell the story really quick. We were crossing the street. Yes, they will stop for you. Traffic is chaotic in Albania. That's another thing, right? So you basically wait for a gap and then you cross confidently. That's much like Italy. Same thing. You step out and of course, they're going to stop. Give them a little room. We're crossing the street. We're halfway across. And then there's a cop there directing traffic. But like I said, it had stopped on this side. So we're halfway in the middle of the street now. I keep walking because they've stopped and I see the cop, he's stopping traffic. My friend goes over and because I'm like, where is she? Because we were walking side by side. She disappeared. I look over, she's talking to this Albanian policeman and she's shaking his hand and grinning at him and just saying, thank you and very exuberant. TNK, is that I was like, "What are you doing?" The New Yorker in me, I'm not naming any names. The New Yorker in me was like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" And they said, "Well, this is how they are, and where they're from. They're also very friendly with the police and all that." And I just was like, "This is a foreign country. I don't know what the norm is, and the man is working. This is a working policeman. The policeman was doing this with traffic. He had the thing, and you're going to stop to shake his hand in the middle of the street. I'm sorry. I just found it a bit much. But I want to know, what would a policeman think if somebody just coming up and, again, not his lifelong friend that he went to school with, because I know that's different, especially in Albania they greet each other and it's blah, 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 and they know each other's family. This is a random, American shaking your hand and thanking you for just letting them cross the street. I just think it's too much. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but TNK, if you're still here, that is my last question before I go. Like, what? And I didn't even see if he smiled because, guys, like I said, traffic is waiting for us. So there is traffic. We've crossed. So then they start going, I guess. And I'm trying to finish the next traffic coming this way. And I'm walking to get out of the street. And so I didn't see if he thought that was like cute or warm. I was just like, why would you interrupt a policeman? I just feel like, a person in authority doing their job. I get it. You want to be friendly on this one hand, but so I would love to if you have a comment on that, like what does that mean to them? Like what would they just think? They'd probably just like, oh gosh, these Americans, they're so happy about everything. Because that's what I've also heard. I was watching somebody's video, Americans in another country, not Albania. Mm, JP and Amelia. You guys go check out their video. It's very cute. It's short. Things that irk Europeans about Americans. So I had to watch it. And one of the things was, well, the positive, at the end, he had to say some positives. And he goes, so yeah, they generally are like Americans are like super happy, upbeat, excitable. I was like, yes, because that fit my friend. So he's like, well, that's good. That's like a good part of what they think of us, that we're just like happy and outgoing, yeah, exuberant, whatever. Okay, let's see. The police are of the people there and not feared unless you did something. The cop probably ate up the ego boost, okay? And also, I have gotten that feeling. In America, it's different, but somebody else told me in terms of protests, like, I don't remember who it is, but they were just like, it was an Albanian person. They go, "Oh, yeah, no, the police are like, they're gonna be cool. They're not gonna like turn a hose on people or like, they're just not gonna get riled up." I mean, obviously, unless people like somebody smack them. And I was like, "Oh, really?" She goes, "Yeah, our police," kind of just literally what you said. She goes, "Our police are kind of like with us, you guys." So that's a great way to end. Think about that. I have literally felt that. I mean, I'm still a little bit like, "Oh, police, police." Luckily, as I said, this is where being Black is very helpful because I think their first thought is, okay, she's an American visiting. And I swear to you, I have one more funny thing. When I put a backpack on, I swear then I become invisible because I think a lot of the foreigners you see, if they're younger, they definitely have a backpack. So the moment, even at my age, I put a backpack on, I feel like people are like, "Oh, okay, we understand. You're visiting. Okay, you're gonna go see the castle. You're gonna go look at the river. You're gonna go whitewater rafting or something." But yeah, I think that the police, the relationship with the police in Albania is different. I think that's wonderful. Yeah, he probably did get an ego boost. Like I said, I was like on the sidewalk saying to her, "What are you doing? Leave the police alone." And she's like, I'm always friendly like that with police where I'm from. And I won't say where she's from. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. Yeah, do we tip too much? Listen, oh my gosh, I'm trying to get off here. This is 3 hours. I am so confused. You can tell they know you're American, they expect a tip. Do you leave what in America you would leave, which then has this weird impact with the locals and pricing? What I've been doing, and this just happened this morning, I found this lovely cafe. Really liked it. I'm like, I'll be back. The kid spoke good English. He was shy, but his English was very good. And he was super helpful. I left a small tip. And actually, relative to the cost of the thing, it was actually a good tip. But I didn't go overboard because there are many Albanians on Facebook saying, don't do that. Don't bring the tipping culture to Albania. But if you ask someone, right? If I ask someone who works in a cafe, I'm sure they're going to be like, oh, yes, we would love a tip. So I'm really conflicted on that. I don't have a clear thing on the tipping. Because another waitress did say to me, our wages are so low. So the wages are low, but I'm being told don't over tip. Like don't give a little bit, but don't go crazy because then you're setting up this weird expectation. And then it also creates this weird dynamic with a local. So I don't know. I don't know. My father did not like police in the US. He was actually embarrassing to me sometimes. As long as nothing, he didn't get in trouble. 10% is plenty. Yeah. Okay, so I left more than 10%, but I'll try to see. That feels weird to me because again, if you just get a coffee and a coffee's like $1, so I left more than 10%, but I figured I'll vary it, you know? Yeah, I don't think they're a tipping culture. No, I don't think they are. So in fact, and now that I think about it, a couple of times I've tipped, I got like a weird look. Like they were kind of like, and I know like specifically in Japan, it is considered insulting. So I don't know. This could be a whole separate video, and I literally would have to have some Albanians on who live in Albania and ask them what do they really feel about the tipping, and what do you want to tell people. Um, but like I said, I'm thinking of twice. In fact, when I was in Poker Deck, I got a weird look with a tip, and maybe it was how I did it, or maybe it was the amount. I don't know, but 10% is plenty. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Mhm, mhm. Yeah, born in the USA. Well, you really have a good sense of the culture. You born in you haven't been since you were a child for one visit, but yeah. I mean, because you nailed it. I like, yeah, the women are at home, they're working the chores. But yes, definitely that nighttime walk, you will see the women. So they can do that, but not just sitting around in the cafe sipping coffee and smoking a cigarette. No. Very occasionally, it seems to be the more upper class Albanian women, and you always, almost always, it'll be a grandmother with her daughter and a baby, and then they'll be in a cafe. It's very specific, you guys. Wow. All right. Well, this was so much fun. I don't know who in the replay is going to watch this. I'm going to have to put timestamps because it was 3 hours so people can kind of see what we talked about. But I'm so happy and grateful for those of you who were here. I'm still chewing, so I'm trying to like not talk with my mouth full with my little snack balls. I only have one, so now I got to go have the other. Mm. Talk to you soon. Look out for the next video, which will be the lady who's going to talk about Hungary. And then after that, I talk with Lisa, and we talk about mindset with Lisa, how if you're having trouble leaving the country and you want to, her and I talk mindset about how to do it, how to get over it. So those are the next two that are coming up. Those are the next two. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it was fun. The chat was lively for sure. Wow. Your parents didn't change much. I know. As I said, as a Jamaican, my dad's behavior was not a typical American behavior, it was more typical Jamaican male behavior of that era. So yeah, I think when folks move to a country, when they immigrate, they often keep a lot of their how they were raised. So I totally understand that. Totally. Hmm. Hmm. Bye. Be well. Talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Like I said, it's 6:15 for me. I'm doing a lot of healthy habits. I'm really trying to go to bed much earlier. Don't laugh. I know. Not 6:15, but I'm trying to wind down and get to bed by like 9, which is ridiculously early for me. So wish me luck. Bye guys.